traditional territories of Tishat and Huipachesset First Nations. My name is Mike Sparrow, for those who don't know, and I am the Director for Cherry Creek Electoral Area. I'd like to introduce you to the planning staff of the ACRD, Mike Erg, who has left to make more room for more people here, as the General Manager of Planning and Development. Alex Dyer is the Planning Manager. Amy Anaka is the planner, and Kathy MacArthur is the planning assistant. Up there. Turn up the volume. We'll try. We've been having a little bit of problem with this. If we do turn up a little bit, we'll start getting feedback in the room too, but we'll try. Is that better at all? No. How about now? No? I've never had a problem with that before. Yeah. Okay. Is she working out now? I'll keep talking. This hearing is being held in the ACRD boardroom electronically by Zoom and is being recorded and live streamed on the ACRD website. Would staff please provide direction and instruction on how to participate in this hearing?
Happy to, and I'll try to be loud so everybody can hear us out there. Then, you know, we thank you for attending. This might be a record for us in this room. So we do have a mix of participants online and in person in the boardroom as well. So if you are watching the live stream on the website right now and wish to join the meeting, the details on how to connect can be found in the Zoom meeting invite document that's linked on the public hearing page. We just want to quickly start by highlighting some of the tools we have in Zoom and in the boardroom that will help you participate. So if you are participating online, you have the option to turn on or off your video and mute or unmute your audio so other meeting participants can see you and hear you. We ask that you keep your audio muted unless you are going to speak in order to reduce the background noise. There will be an opportunity to speak after staff introduce the OCP amendment bylaw and summarize the agency and First Nation referrals. For those participating in person here in the boardroom, we ask that you use a microphone system that we have here at the table and at the podium. So before speaking, you'll press the silver speaker button at the base to turn on the microphone, which will then focus the camera on you and will allow those online and on Zoom to see you and hear you. So when the chair will call upon members of the public to comment on the bylaw, we ask that you either put your hand up or call out that you would like to speak. Once you have been recognized by the chair, we ask that you state your name and your address, followed by your comments or questions. If you are online, that would be the opportunity to unmute yourself. And if you are in person here in the boardroom, again, that would be when you would be using the button on the microphone. When using Zoom, there's also a chat feature that is accessed from the controls in your screen. If you would like to submit a comment or ask a question at any time, all comments will be addressed by staff during the public hearing, so feel free to add anything you would like to address into that chat feature. These comments will be brought forward when the chair asks for public comments. We ask that you refrain from chatting with other panelists on Zoom in the public chat, as all commenters must be recognized by the chair. There will also be a final opportunity at the end, prior to the end of the public hearing, to ask any final questions or have any final comments. But I think with that, I'll pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the subject of this hearing is Bylaw 1 P1446. This bylaw is the official community plan amendment to the existing Cherry Creek official community plan bylaw P1278. If you have any questions or comments about any other unrelated topic, I ask you to contact regional staff after this hearing has been terminated. Would staff now read out the notice of public hearing? And that's you.
The notice of public hearing. A public hearing for residents and property owners in Electoral Area F, Cherry Creek, has been scheduled to consider bylaw P1446, Monday, May 1st at 7 p.m. Public hearing for bylaw P1446, Cherry Creek Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw. Electronic call-in or in-person attendance at the ACRD office, 3008 5th Avenue, Port Alberni, BC. A public hearing for residents and property owners within Electoral Area F, Cherry Creek, will be held to consider bylaw P1446. This bylaw is an official community plan amendment to the existing Cherry Creek OCP bylaw P1278 as part of the zoning bylaw review project. Amendments are being considered to the 6 ACRD electoral area OCPs to align OCP policies and objectives with the proposed updated zoning bylaw. available at www.acrd.bc.ca/ZB review. The public hearing will be held by the Director for Electoral Area F, the alternate director, or chairperson of the regional district. The board resolution making this delegation, Bylaw P1446, and all relevant background documents are available for review in the ACRD office and are available as supplementary information at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/1-5-2023. This public hearing will be recorded and live streamed on the ACRD website. Planning staff are available to answer questions in person, through email, or by phone during regular office hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, from April 19th to May 1st, excluding statutory holidays. Anyone who feels their interest in property will be affected by the proposed bylaw will be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard. If you wish to participate in the public hearing in person, electronically, or by phone, full instructions to do so can be provided by contacting planning staff at the ACRD office, by email at planning@acrd.bc.ca, or by phone 250-720-2700. In addition, participation instructions are included in the supplementary information available at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/1-5-2023. The public hearing will be conducted from the ACRD office, 3008 Fifth Avenue. Written correspondence can be submitted to the ACRD with one of the following methods: hard copy delivered to the ACRD office in person or by mail, email sent to planning@acrd.bc.ca, fax sent to 250-723-1327. Email or fax correspondence will only be considered received if receipt confirmation is provided by ACRD staff. Written submissions provided in advance of the public hearing must be received by the ACRD no earlier than 8 a.m. on April 19th, no later than 4 p.m. on May 1st, to ensure their inclusion in the public record. Correspondence submitted ahead of the public hearing outside of these parameters will not be included.
Thank you. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive input, written or verbal, from any person who believes that their interest in property is affected by the bylaw. The board of directors will receive full minutes of this hearing before voting on the bylaw. Staff are taking minutes that summarize the issues raised. Please speak clearly to ensure accuracy. Will the staff please introduce the proposal?
Okay, happy to. Thank you. So Bylaw P1446 is an official community plan amendment to the existing Cherry Creek OCP Bylaw P1278, as you've heard, which was originally adopted in 2012. The OCP amendment bylaw generally includes updates to align OCP policies and objectives with the draft updated zoning bylaw. As part of the zoning bylaw review project, all 6 of the electoral area OCPs in Banfield, Long Beach, and 4 in the Alberni Valley are being amended to align policies with the draft zoning bylaw. The amendments to the other 5 OCPs in the region have already been adopted by the board. It is important to highlight that the comprehensive rewrite of the ACRD zoning bylaw is not being considered as part of this public hearing, and that the zoning bylaw remains in draft form. Staff anticipate that the zoning bylaw will be considered by the board a first time in mid-May, so that's coming up pretty quick. Any changes to the updated zoning bylaw can still be considered, and staff continue to engage with the public and members of the board on finalizing that draft. The most recent draft available, as you heard, was published in October 2022 and is available online on the ACRD zoning bylaw review webpage. Consideration of the updated zoning bylaw by the board a first time, as I mentioned, is anticipated for the May 10th board meeting, followed by a public hearing specific to the updated zoning bylaw anticipated for June 2023. That public hearing and the notice period ahead of that public hearing will provide an additional opportunity for you for the public input on the updated zoning bylaw itself. And we encourage anyone to continue reviewing that draft zoning bylaw and background information on the website, and reach out to staff with any questions or comments specific to zoning related items. So back to the bylaw at hand that this public hearing is dealing with, OCP Amendment Bylaw P1446. This was given first reading on April 13th, 2022. It's about a year ago now. The memorandum that was considered by the board during that meeting and a copy of the bylaw with first reading are available online on the ACRD website, and hard copies are available in person here in the boardroom. The bylaw provides a line-by-line list of the amendments within Bylaw P 1446, a consolidated version of the OCP text, which incorporates all of these proposed amendments, and the updated land use designation and development permit area maps are also available. The OCP is at the back of the room. The maps are on the back wall, and there's smaller versions available for you as well. And again, those are available online and linked on the ACRD website. If we've run out of copies, we are printing some more hard copies, but if you're missing anything and you'd like to see it, please find one of us and we'll be happy to make sure you see that. So I want to quickly highlight the amendments that are included as part of the Cherry Creek OCP bylaw, the OCP amendment bylaw, which we're dealing with here today, P 1446. The first amendment of which is standardizing policy wording across each of the 6 OCPs where appropriate. The bylaw proposes to update the Local Government Act references throughout, as this act was comprehensively updated since the Cherry Creek OCP was adopted in 2012. The bylaw proposes to update Agricultural Land Commission references to better align with the provincial regulations reflected in the draft zoning bylaw. These updates will facilitate new opportunities such as secondary residences in the ALR, agritourism uses, agritourism accommodation, and gathering for an event in the ALR as well. The amendment bylaw includes a statement about the consideration of the housing needs reports in the area OCPs. The ACRD received the Cherry Creek Housing Needs Report in 2021. More detailed housing recommendations will be considered as part of a future comprehensive update to the OCP, which we hope will follow the completion of the zoning bylaw review project. The definitions have been revised to align with the updated definitions in the zoning bylaw. The updated definitions in the Cherry Creek OCP include accessory dwelling unit, flood construction level, home industry, home occupation, manufactured mobile, and modular homes. And I want to take this opportunity to highlight home industry and home occupations, because I know there's been a lot of discussion about that in the community, and I'm sure a lot of interest. So the home industry policies that are in the OCB, including the 5-acre minimum lot size to support home industry, have been in place in the Cherry Creek OCP since it was adopted in 2012. And nothing about home industry is proposed to be changed as part of this OCP amendment. Following up on the wording that supports home industry in the OCPs, the draft updated zoning bylaw that I highlighted earlier proposes to introduce home industry as a new opportunity and new permitted use that currently does not exist in the region. Home occupations, on the other hand, are something that have always been permitted in the current zoning bylaw, but have been limited to businesses within the home. The draft updated zoning bylaw proposes to be more flexible in allowing home occupations and allowing them to take place without a minimum lot size and within a detached shop or a secondary dwelling in addition to the home. The only reference in Bylaw P 1446 to home industry and home occupations is to match the wording of the proposed definitions in the updated zoning bylaw. And I'm sure there's a lot of discussion to be had around that, but I just wanted to be clear on exactly where this bylaw touches home occupations and home industries. Moving on, the highlights of the updates to this bylaw, the amendment bylaw intends to revise wording in the riparian areas protection development permit area to align with the zoning bylaw by measuring the stream setback from the natural boundary and not high water mark. In that same section, the Alberni Inlet would be defined as a major stream to regulate the development along the east side of the inlet south of the city of Port Alberni, which is also within the OCP area. The amendment bylaw proposes to revise the flood construction level guidelines in the natural hazard development permit areas to align with what we have in the proposed zoning bylaw. It would reduce the minimum lot size in the resource use designation, which are primarily the forestry lands, from 20 hectares or 50 acres to 16 hectares or 40 acres. And again, this will be to align with the proposed resource zone in the updated zoning bylaw. And finally, the amendment bylaw P 1446 has updated and replaced map 2 land use designations and map 3 development permit areas, utilizing our new GIS mapping database with a new map format and improved readability. And that's the map that you see on the back wall. And we do have copies here in the room and linked online if you are interested in seeing that. Before we get into the comments, I'm just going to ask Amy to go over the agency referrals that we've received to date and the public correspondence and how we've advertised the public hearing today. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I think we did better with the sound. With feedback before. I am going to highlight the referral responses we received, and we received responses from a number of agencies as well as First Nations. So a copy of all of the responses received, as well as a summary table of the responses, is available on our website, as well as there is copies at the back there. It's the big thick one there with all the referral responses. And these will form part of the public hearing report, which will be considered by the board. And so there were a total of 25 agency and First Nations who responded to the referral. And agency responses received either noted they were in support of the bylaw, subject to the reasons outlined in the responses, that their interests were unaffected, or they had no concern, comment, or objections. And comments received from referral agencies relating directly to the Cherry Creek OCP amendment bylaw generally provided comments around all of the 4 Alberni Valley OCPs together. An example of that is comments received from the Agricultural Land Commission, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. And their comments were largely around ensuring consistency between these bylaw amendments, as well as the purposes of the provincial agricultural regulations, as well as any decisions of the Agricultural Land Commission. And we also want to note that staff are continuing to engage with these referral agencies, as well as the First Nations, where they've raised questions that can be addressed as part of the updated zoning bylaw, or as well as this part of the longer term comprehensive updates that will be completed to the area OCPs. Also noting that the referral request that was sent out did indicate that if no response was received by the referral deadline, it will be assumed that their agency or First Nations interest in the amendment bylaw are unaffected. And so there were 16 agencies and First Nations who we did not receive any communication for. In terms of public correspondence for this public hearing, there were 11 letters of public correspondence received ahead of the public hearing. And so the letters expressed concerns about home industry, home occupation, recreational vehicle and housing regulations that are specific to the draft regulations in the updated zoning bylaw, expressed general concern for the direction of the OCP, as well as question minimum lot sizes for subdivision, as well as raise some concerns about limiting subdivision of land in the ALR. So again, this correspondence is available for public review on the ACRD website. There's the PDF uploaded up there, and copies are available at the back. And like Alex said, if none more available, we can get some more copies to you. And again, this correspondence forms part of the public hearing minutes, will then be considered by the board. Lastly, public consultation and advertising. So the notice that I read out earlier for this public hearing was advertised in 2 consecutive issues of the Alberni Valley News, once on April 19th, another one on April 26th. And this is a requirement of the Local Government Act, as well as the ACRD Development Procedures Bylaw. This notice was also published on the ACRD website on April 19th, linked in the event calendar, as well as on the Zoning Bylaw Review webpage. And as an opportunity to provide supplementary notice for this public hearing, dates associated with the amendment bylaw, the board directed staff to place 1 or more sandwich board signs in the community. And so 2 sandwich boards advertising for this public hearing were placed in the Cherry Creek area to provide that supplementary notice.
I'm just going to add another comment. That's enough from us now, but we'll have a chance for everybody to provide a comment on the bylaw. I thought I would just quickly update on a few housekeeping items. As I mentioned at the beginning, we will need to use the microphone system. So if you're in the back and you're recognized by the chair, we'll ask that you come up to the podium here and use the microphone to have your comments heard. I'd also remind everybody, if you haven't had a chance to sign in, there is a sign-in sheet at the back. And Mike Erg is roaming around here somewhere. He's a big tall guy with a clipboard. And if you have any questions or if you need any printouts, find him and he should be able to help you out. And finally, the washrooms. There is a washroom in this room here, just at the back right-hand side, if you're looking the direction I'm looking. And there's also some washrooms in the lobby as well. So if you go out that door and hang a right, there are some washrooms there. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon?
We had a look around. We don't have any extra shares. So apologies for that, but thank you.
Well, thank you for the response we got here. This is truly remarkable. We would like to hear from representatives from the members from the public now. So please wait to be recognized by me, the chair. Hello back there. Only one meeting, one room, one time, please. Thank you. That's good. Good. So please wait to be recognized by me. Mute the microphone in front of you. It'll turn red like this one, and then you can speak. Just participating by Zoom, as a little icon comes up, a little hand will come up, and I'll recognize you that way. Then you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay. We'll recognize around the boardroom too. Put your hand up, and then we'll look at you, and then you can put the microphone on, speak there. Please state your name and address before beginning. If you don't, I'll probably stop you and ask you to state your name and address. We wish to hear everybody in this room for the first time before we go to second comment. So if you have a list of things you want to talk about, please do one. Let everybody else have a run around and then come back to you. I will be here as long as you need me. Okay? So anybody want to start first?
Hello, I'm Brett Von Brendel. I live at 5447 Maybell Road. Obviously, I'm super concerned with almost everything on the docket, as probably everybody here is. I also just recently had a rezoning application denied. And I had a couple questions. I'm going to be a little bit selfish for this couple questions because it pertains to my rezoning application. I just wanted to know, because how long you guys have known about, well, actually, Alex said 2012, you already knew that you cannot have a home-based business unless you're 5 acres or more. But I had an accepted application. I had surveys done. I paid all my fees and all that stuff. I just want to know how long you guys have known about this before you drug me through the mud for like 20 months to get a public hearing. And when you already knew that you were going to deny my application.
Sure, I'd be happy to expand on that. Thank you, Brett. Just to clarify, home-based businesses, we have it categorized as home occupations, which have always been permitted and permitted within the home. And then we have home industry, which is a new opportunity that has been introduced as a part of the zoning bylaw review project. And so that I can give a bit of context and history, I guess, on how we got to this point. It's a project that we've been working on for many years now. I know that many of you have been involved in the meetings we've had in the past and have had a chance to build on that. So initial work on the zoning bylaw review project really began in 2015 and 2016 with open houses and APC meetings and initial engagement with the public and First Nations at that time. Since 2019, staff have had a number of opportunities to engage with the public and have been actively working on this project. There's been numerous open houses, the most recent of which were held in spring 2022 in the Cherry Creek Hall, as well as online. And we've also had numerous advisory planning commission meetings, the most recent of which again was held in June 2022 with the Cherry Creek APC. So it's not something that has come out of nowhere. Home industry uses, for example, were introduced into the Alberni Valley OCPs when they were developed in 2012 to 2014. That has been an idea that the board has been expanding on since that time, and now we're finally at the stage where the regional district can introduce that as I mentioned, as a new opportunity in the draft zoning bylaw. So that's a long-winded answer, but it's not something that we've taken lightly, I guess.
I feel like it didn't really answer the question, but it basically, if you guys knew that you couldn't have a home-based industry, like on less than 5 acres, why are you accepting applications for people who have less than 5 acres shooting for home business rezoning?
So different zones allow, I mean, you know, if you were to make an application for a cottage residential use, for example, that there is a minimum lot size for that, and that's outside of home industry. Home industry isn't something that the board intends to require you to apply for. It's an opportunity that you have to develop a business if it meets the minimum threshold of the 2 hectares or 5 acres and meets the conditions of use outlined in that. If you were to apply to rezone to an industrial use or a commercial use or another type of vacation rental use, anybody can make that application, and the regional district will process it and will consider your application. You know, in your case, that's what's happening.
I haven't like thoroughly read over all of this because it's like a whole lot of ACRD jargon. You kind of got to work here to understand it all, but there's a few things that I picked up that probably are a big concern to most people. Most people out here own a side-by-side or 2, own a quad or 2, own a boat or 2. And a lot of these things that you guys are proposing is that like somebody can't have 2 boats on their property. Well, many of us have a lake life and an ocean life because we go to the lake, and we have lake boats, and we have ocean boats because we fish. So how are you guys gonna enforce people that have lived that lifestyle for their whole life living here? Are you going to tell them they have to sell one of their boats? Or they're going to have to sell one of the recreational vehicles, or like, how does that work?
So again, the parking of vehicles is something that's regulated specifically in the zoning bylaw and not in the Cherry Creek OCP. But I will highlight that we've actually expanded the ability to park a vehicle on a residential zone. Right now, the current ACRD zoning bylaw, which was been in place since the 70s, requires a maximum of 1 boat and 1 trailer and 1 RV. And what the draft 2023 zoning bylaw would allow you to do is any 4 of those 3 things. So if you have 4 boats, you can park them on your residential lot. If you have 4 trailers or 2 boats and 2 trailers, you can do that. And again, that's only specific to the residential zones, and they would not apply to the rural zone. So if you're currently in A zone, A1, A2, A3, you will likely become a rural zone is what we're calling it. And in those zones, the parking regulations do not apply. And there effectively is no limit on what you can park in your vehicle on your land. And those lots are essentially in the 2 acre plus range. So, you know, that's something we've had a lot of conversation with in the community, and we've heard loud and clear that, you know, people have things that they need to be able to park on their land, and we don't want the urban type regulations that you might see that, you know, we currently have. So we've worked to expand that, and again, it only applies to the smaller residential lots and not the rural properties.
Okay, I just want to finish because a lot of the other people are going to speak, obviously. So I just want to say that I'm totally against your guys' updating of this OCP or the zoning, whatever this is. I don't agree with most of what I read, and I think it affects a lot of people, especially in the Cherry Creek, because we're on the foot of the Beaufort, and we all quad, we all boat, we all fish, we all go out in the bush. I think this is not a good thing. Thanks.
Hold on for a second. Okay, if we can keep it back to the OCP, this is you're talking about me with the bylaws, which are fine. They're coming on a pipeline in about 2 weeks. So yes, you're right. This is the ground level. And that's the next level. You're right. So
I have,
sorry.
I've been living in my residence, built my.
Hold on, Cliff. You're gonna have to state your name or where you live first.
Oh, it's Cliff Nordmark, and I live at 6895 Cherry Creek Road. I've been there since 1979. I have 0.65 of an acre. I ran a business out of there. I built a house there, a shop there, my family there. And now you're telling me that I can't have what I have on that property? Are you freaking kidding me? This is a goddamn joke. Absolutely. I'm 73 years old. This whole goddamn meeting is a joke for everybody in this room. Not just this room, but we're in the Spout Lake, the Beaver Creek people. I thought this is a regional district thing. So you're telling me I can't have vehicles parked in my yard? Talk to me. I'm listening.
Thank you, Cliff. I mean, as I mentioned before, the draft zoning bylaw has regulations that are proposed that deal with parking, and they're more permissive. They allow for more parking than what's currently permitted. And in terms of home-based businesses, home occupations within the home have always been permitted in the zoning bylaw, and that is remaining in place and is expanding to allow for home occupations within a detached outbuilding or within a secondary home if you have that on your property. In addition to that, home industry uses are being introduced on 5 acres or more. So I don't know the details of your specific property, but that's the fact.
Having lived here since 1979, I've seen businesses grow up in this community that don't harm anybody. Anybody. There's no reason why they can't all get together and work in this community. Because it's very valuable that you can go get a haircut down the road or go get a loaf of bread or whatever. Who's it hurting? Because you don't have 2 acres or 5 acres of land, you can't have that? That's the biggest pile of crap I ever heard in my life. My grandfather would curl up in his grave. Old Henry Rummel that owned all this property out Cherry Creek would curl up in his grave. He had equipment and trucks parked on that property where I am on just about every acre of property in Cherry Creek many years ago. It's disgusting what's going on here. Absolutely disgusting. This should never be. Never be. That ain't my biggest complaint. The biggest one I got is side-by-sides coming down that road at 100 miles an hour with their stereos cranked at 2 o'clock in the morning and stopping beside my house. Where are these police cars that we're paying for in this parking lot down here? I haven't seen one out there in 10 years. And they're not allowed to drive down the road. That permit allows them to cross the road. But I wouldn't care if they drove down the road normally, but not at 100 miles an hour and not with the stereos going at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And if you don't think I'm telling the truth, come on out. I invite you. Thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. So the idea behind here is people to speak their mind, which is great. So if you all want to say the same thing Cliff said, you can microphone and do that, then we'll have a bigger volume of people. I know you're all agreeing with them, but it's not recorded that you're agreeing with them. So does that make sense? So the guy in the blue shirt. Yeah, right there.
Aaron Brevick, 5447 Maybell. Mike, I hope you can judge the temperature in the room. We've all read the Facebook comments and it's warm, buddy. It's warm. So we need you with us. We've never really met, but if you got voted for the Cherry Creek residents, we don't want you to sit by idle. We want you to fight for us. We want you to hear the people. We want to talk about the police officers. We'll tell you what's going on. Let's zoom out a little bit, not pull any punches here. The plan, I know the provincial government's just lost the battle with the municipalities. They're putting the new RCMP, all the overtime. Port Alberni's going to get a huge tax bill. Do you think this tax raise that we're getting right now is huge? We're about to get a huge one when we start paying for the overtime for all these murders. Port Alberni wants us to kick in for the pool and all the rest of it. What's going on here is you guys are going to allow for home industry so that you can say which ones we like. You're going to come up with a fee schedule for how you're going to collect that money, work out a deal with the city and try and kick into the bigger pool overall. But you're also going to go and hire probably 3, 4 more bylaw officers. And we're going to need a manager for them, right? Next thing you know, you got 4 guys $80,000 a year, each collecting $5,000 in tickets. Now, I can't run my house like that, right? I can't just spend your money because it doesn't exist. But this seems to be what the government's doing. I don't know if anybody here is here because we just love the HCRD and this new OCP. Frankly, if I got voted in and somebody put that on my desk, I'm telling it's horse crap. We don't need to read it. You want to amend some wording for like a high watermark? That's fine. You want to tell people they can't fix my Jeep? It's junk, right? So what's going to happen? We're going to build houses, we're going to run businesses, and we're going to end up paying your $150 a month fine or whatever it is. Like, we're going to get into a whole bunch of horse shit over nothing. It's super easy, super simple. Nobody wants it. If you're here for the people, just vote it down. It's not a hard thing. You don't have to be. You do not have to be the smartest guy in the room to see that you guys put a couple ads in the paper, a couple of sandwich boards. I found out because somebody did it on Facebook. It's 2023. You can't comment online. You can't really get in touch with anybody. You guys get paid to come up with what you're going to say. The rest of us, we work all day and sometimes on Saturday. But we got to come here, decipher this crap, and try and figure out how to just be regular people. I am not in support of this. It's clearly the easiest thing to just be like, this is junk. We're wasting everybody's time. What the hell are you guys thinking? Seriously, like, I don't know how bad you got to just beat the table here to get it through everybody's head. I feel bad for Brett because I watched that whole process. I really think Brett should be dealing with Ackerman law over in Vancouver over municipal liabilities, because the regional district is seriously pushing some very, very close things by taking people's money, knowing that it falls under commercial, right? You guys do not currently allow for commercial businesses. So I just don't even know how you guys have rounded up this many people. Millions and millions of dollars in property owners are here. Is anybody here because you're in support of what's going on? I don't think so. This is unanimous. Shut this down.
Good. Well, thank you for that. And people have said, what is my job here, right? My job is to listen right now. I don't have a feeling about this until you tell me what my feeling is and what my direction is. That's why we're here tonight. It's exactly why we're here. So the reason, okay, yes. So what we have to do is get more people to speak, so we have volume on paper. That's what we're doing here. And then at the end of the night, I'll know exactly what you guys want, and I will push for what you want. But before that, I can't.
Nobody said anything. They pass it up. They go to the table, and nobody gives these people a reason.
Okay. So we're going to move on. We have somebody else speaking, but I did hear you.
It's Lars Bank. I'm on 3539 Belgam Road. I got 0.44 of an acre. And really what I want is no regulation affecting me and no by law enforcement. I just want freedom. I think everyone wants freedom to do what they want with their own property. I would like my neighbor. I think we're all getting older and having a hard time making a living. We don't need more taxes. We need just to be able to make a little bit of money, cut somebody's hair. I don't know what it is, but something. We want to make a little money on our property. It's not really a business. And maybe some people do want to run a business, but I don't think it has to be regulated. We should be able to really do what we want.
Thank you for that. And just keep on speaking. Yes, Bob.
Bob Vandermolen, 2851 Brandon Avenue. I wasn't aware that this was, and I've been part of this committee at times, this one bylaw in particular about home business, home industry. I don't see any clear definition in there. I would suggest that you review that one for sure. I don't understand how telling somebody that's running childcare or an aesthetic shop or maybe a hairdressing barber shop needs 2 to 5 acres. I don't understand that at all. So you call it, or it's called home industry, But is there not a difference between industry and perhaps business? So that needs a lot of clarification. Yeah, where is the regional district going with this? Like, this is the first reading for Cherry Creek. Are we looking for the same thing in the Beaufort? Are we looking for the same thing in Banfield? Are you going to shut down some of those businesses in Banfield? Those people rely on those businesses. You know, I think you're going to have to go back and review a bunch of this stuff. It's really ambiguous. Are they doing this in Nanaimo? Where did that come from? Or who suggested this stuff? Particularly that one. There are lots of home-based businesses right here in Port Alberni. Lots of them, and they're running in a city lot. Doesn't seem to be an issue. So please review this before you do another reading. You owe it to the people that live in Cherry Creek. There's a reason people live in Cherry Creek. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
So I will, I'd be happy to speak to the difference between home occupations and home industry. Use examples like a daycare or a hairdresser, for example. Those are currently permitted uses as home occupations. There's no minimum lot size for that. And they're happening out there, and they've always been supported in the zoning bylaw. What the home industry would do would be to support larger scale things like manufacturing and repair and heavy equipment work that can happen outside or within a shop, for example. It introduces that as a new opportunity. To speak to, you know, where did these rules come from? They were introduced as part of the Cherry Creek OCP update that took place in 2012. So there were discussions that were had from the, you know, with the community and from members of the community that supported the idea of home industry on 5-acre lots. And that's when that policy was included in the OCP in 2012. So hearing the discussion that we hear now, I think it's time to review that. Absolutely. And you know, that's, you know, I can take the temperature of the room myself on that, but I think it needs to be a part of a comprehensive OCP review process. And we look forward to beginning that project after the completion of the zoning bylaw. We need to get back into each of the communities, each of those 6 electoral areas, and talk about where we want to go as a community. What's the vision? Where's the, you know, what types of density should go where? What type of land uses should go where? Those are the conversations that we want to have with you. And then the idea is the zoning bylaw implements that. So I mean, that is something that we recognize, but just so you know, home industry isn't an idea that the staff have cooked up. This is something that came from the community back when we had those meetings in 2011 and 2012.
I don't believe it was actually.
Hold on, if you're going to speak, can you please come to the podium and get recognized? I see it, Cliff. You just hold on for a second. Hey, Cliff, can you click your microphone on?
5160 Maybell Road. I don't believe it was really part of the community's decision, even in 2012. I don't think we've ever been consulted, because this is the first time in the last year that I've seen it on Facebook, and I've never seen it anywhere else. And I don't really believe that it's really a benefit to anybody in any of the areas. And I don't think any of us asked for it. We live in this area because we pay our taxes. We do have lower taxes, and obviously it's increased, but we haven't really benefited in any way. We don't have better water. They've been working on the VHA Cherry Creek water to be better in the last probably 10 years, and it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten more expensive, but that's fine. We're okay with that because we still live in Cherry Creek, and we get to live in our freedom of Cherry Creek. And I just don't see the benefit, and we never asked for this. We don't really want this change. It's not beneficial to anybody, except for you guys that get paid. And we got 13 more people on the board when we only had 4. And I don't really see why we have that. It's not doing anything for us. We still pay the same for everything that we have and more. And I don't see it. I just don't see it. And we didn't even know about this. I've heard about it on Facebook myself too. But we didn't really hear about it till like 5 days ago to come for this meeting. And I'm not really prepared to talk, so I'm only saying what I feel right now. But I don't feel this is beneficial to anyone living in the rural district, because then I might as well live in the city. Okay? If you're going to have dictator rules to us living in the country, telling us how many chickens we can have, whether we can sell our eggs, because I have chickens. I don't have a lot of chickens, but I have enough chickens to supply myself. And when I have an overabundance, because I can't store them in my fridge, I sell them to friends because they like to buy my chicken eggs, and they're not expensive. But, you know, I'm just saying, I just helping people out by giving them free range chicken eggs. But it's not my business. I do it as a hobby, and it's for my kids and for myself, because we know where our chicken eggs are coming from. But I don't really give a crap about that. All I care about is the fact that somebody leaves me alone and lets me live my life in my own home and doesn't come and bother me. I don't need that crap. And nobody else does either. That's why we live here. If I wanted to be dictated to, I'd be living in the city. And I don't. I grew up on 10th Avenue. I lived there for 25 years of my growing up life. And, well, my dad always did his own thing too, because he just didn't listen to the crap. But now I live in the country, and I'm not going to listen to your crap either. And I don't think anyone else should either. Okay? End of story.
Rick Hebert, 2696 Port Alberni Highway. It's the industrial part of Cherry Creek. I lived there 35 years. I ran a body shop, boat repair, painted logging trucks, did all that stuff there for 35 years. Now you're telling me I can't do it? I only got 1 acre and 3/4. And I will never comply, so.
That's why we're here today, to hear your voice and see what you want me to do. I'm working for you, so keep on talking, so I know.
Earl Engstrom, 3680 Trevor Avenue. What I'm hearing here is people are just saying, just stay out of our business. We can get along together without you making all these rules for us. We don't want the rules. And I haven't seen a whole lot of people arguing with each other and fighting with each other in Cherry Creek. As a realtor, when I hear people talking in Port Alberni where to live, they always say the best rural district is Cherry Creek. Now you're going to make great better. All you can do is make it worse with these laws. We like our freedom. That's what you're hearing from all your people here. And I think you're supposed to listen to us in Cherry Creek. We don't care about the other 5 districts, okay? You're working for us. So we're saying no. Leave it the way it is. So if you keep mentioning, we're back in 2012, 2015, we had these things in place. Well, now you know people don't like them. Remove them. Thank you for your time.
Cliffy, you want to do it?
Yeah, I just want to know why. I've been there since 79, and I never knew anything about this 2012 thing that we voted supposedly all agreed upon. Hell, we didn't hear anything about it. So I had a business there. I ran it. I had lots of industrial equipment in my yard all the time. I never had an issue at all. I did welding for just about every person that lived in the Cherry Creek district and then some. And we never had an issue. So I don't know where this 2012 thing got voted in to be agreed upon, because we sure the hell didn't hear about it.
Well, I guess it got voted in at the regional board by your director at that time, but I've only been here not even 2 months now. And I found it and I said, hey, this doesn't work. What do you think? So I brought it out there. What do you think? This is what it's all about. That's my job, is to find little nuggets of gold, bring them out to you people and say, what do you think? And this is what we get. So now, if we continue on to this journey in this public meeting, I will understand what you want and I will fight for you. That's my job.
Hi, Dean Moore, 6850 Cherry Creek Road. So you're telling us this is like an improvement from what was presented us in 2012, but nothing was ever enforced. So no matter how much you improve it, it's not an improvement, because if it's going to be enforced now, that's the catch. So, things are, we like the way it is in Cherry Creek Road. For instance, Cherry Creek Road goes over my property, and that's fine. But if we start adding regulations, can I complain about that? Do I get my land? Do you have to buy my land off me? Quite frankly, I benefit by these laws, by some of these songs you are putting in place, but I'm still not going to support it. I mean, I would kind of like the agritourism thing to go through, but if it's an all or nothing thing, I would be against it myself, so.
Hi, I'm Jason Sawatsky, 3420 Markham Road. My suggestion to you would maybe make business, industrial type business, I forgot the terminology you used, for maybe a 1/4 acre and larger. I don't know how many lots there are. There are 2 acres or over that would be eligible to run a business for, but I worked for Cliff for many years. I think a 1/4 acre, or maybe a 1/2 acre, is a more reasonable amount of land to run a business off of. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else have any first-time speakers that want to come? I see somebody in the back moving forward here.
Hey guys, my name's Logan Walcott, 5957 Cherry Creek Road. I've been a local entrepreneur here in Port Alberni for 30 plus years. And I just totally disagree with what you guys are doing here. I agree with Jay, maybe a 5 acre. How many 5 acre parcels are on Cherry Creek? Do you guys have a number?
Not offhand, no.
I think that's valid I think that's a valid question for you to answer. Because realistically, most parcels on Cherry Creek are probably 1 acre to 1/2 acre to 1/4 acre. Not too many people have a 5 acre lot. So it's something that needs to say is that you really guys need to answer our question thoroughly instead of this riff-raff politician stuff that goes nowhere. And I highly disagree with what you guys are doing. You say you put out a timeline of April 19th and April 26th, which is absolute hogwash, considering, only these many people have come around. I imagine there's 1,977 people in Cherry Creek, and we only got maybe 90 people. Yeah, and they probably lack of hearing because on your guys' part. And I really think that maybe this should really be brought to Cherry Creek Hall so we can gather the mass and then we can all sit down and talk instead of you can't even accompany us. You can't even accompany your town to Port Alberni, which is wrong. And this should be a huge venue. But by this limited space, there's no real room for the community to come even complain to you guys. And I know Mike Sparrow, that he's been a long time fire chief for Cherry Creek. And for you to say that you're just here to represent, I agree that you are here to represent, but I think that you need to make it more clear to the community of what's going on Because personally, I posted an update on Facebook on the Wednesday when I found out. And I probably got more people coming to me and asking, well, how do I contact Mike Sparrow? Mike Sparrow, I never heard from you once. And I see you across the street all the time. And you never come to me. And you're supposed to be a representative.
Well, thank you. I'll counter that. I was at your place, April 18th, 10 o'clock, because you weren't there, unfortunately. I came and knocked on your door. Sorry, Logan. No problem. I try and meet people in business I can. I talked to quite a few people in the business. You're right, the letter came out late. I wrote a 2-page letter on the first week on the job here, and it came out probably 3 weeks later in your mailbox, and that was issues we have. But yes, I agree. It needs to be out sooner, out quicker, and dispersed better. I totally agree with that, and people need to hear. I need to hear from the people. Absolutely. But I hear your complaints, yes.
Can we postpone this hearing to set it at Cherry Creek Hall? In a month or two from now?
Well,
because really this is not near a fraction of the people of Cherry Creek District.
You're correct. And I did ask for that, but because they have the Zoom capabilities here and only here, they have to come here. You're right. I did ask back in the day. I don't know, back in the day, it was Cherry Creek Community Hall for the Cherry Creek community. Correct?
The Zoom call. How many people are on here?
20. It says top right corner, 20. So
if we postpone this to a month or two from now, I guarantee we're probably gonna have 1,000 people at the hall. We're willing to talk to you guys.
I went
and be comfortable, not have senior citizens on the chairs or standing. You know,
I hear you. Yes, I do. We did, Beaufort and Beaver Creek had a town hall meeting. There's 140.
Yeah, I was at the Beaver Creek supporting them as well, because I'm also a homeowner of Beaver Creek as well.
Yes.
And this is complete hogwash what you guys are trying to do.
Well, this is probably the biggest audience this place has ever held.
Well, it's going to get bigger, I'll tell you that.
That's good for Cherry Creek. It tells you're involved. I like that.
Yeah.
And I will keep pushing. So keep telling me what you want me to do. That's my job.
I'd like to have you more vocal in our community. Yeah, you've been a representative for a community for quite some time, and I appreciate that, your help.
Mm-hmm.
But for you just to stand back and say, I'm just going to listen. We're not looking for that in Cherry Creek. We're looking for somebody to fight for our rights. You're a longtime member of Cherry Creek and lived there. How would you feel about this? How do you feel? How do you feel about what's going on here?
Well,
are you a yay or are you a nay?
I'm getting direction from the community here, and once I get it, I will be whatever direction they tell me to be. And right now, it's no. So there.
Looking for direction. I'm asking you a question. Are you for this or are you against this?
I'm whatever you give me. Right now, it's a no. It's a process.
Honestly, Mike, you're not answering the question.
Okay, I think Alex should answer the question. It's the process. I can't interrupt the process, unfortunately.
Just so everybody knows, excuse me, in the back there, just so everybody knows about the process, how this works is the minutes from all of the correspondence that have been received at this public hearing, all the comments will get compiled and brought before the board, and the board will make the decision on May 10th. And that at that meeting, they can decide to deny a bylaw, they can decide to approve a bylaw, or defer a decision and ask that a second public hearing be held. The board will have those options, but it's not a vote of your area director tonight or ever. It's a vote of the entire board.
Okay, so if we all vote no and the ACRD votes yes, then what? We're going to be diligent, have a bylaw officer come to our yard and say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable how your yard looks. And then we're going to take that fine.
So, I mean, the direction on all of that is set by the board. The board is the decision-making authority. And if the board wants to move ahead with the bylaw and implementing the bylaw, they'll do that. If they want to take more time and ask that more input be received or more conversations be held with the public, they will direct that. It's just not something that you're going to get an answer for tonight. It'll be at the next board meeting.
Looking for an answer tonight, but I'm just looking to, you know, so if we all say no, are you guys going to base our votes of no whatsoever, or is the ACRD going to say, you know what, we're doing what I want? So you're 5 board members or 10 board members or 14 board members of a community of 1,977 people are going to make your 5 decisions on our properties?
So what happens is there's 6 board members on this, being a land use. So there's 6, there's Beaver Creek, Beaufort, Banfield, South Long Beach, Sport Lake, and myself. And they will all read the minutes as yours. And this is going to be pages long, and they will read the minutes and decide what the temperature in the room is and figure out which way they should vote. And I do everything I can, let you guys speak. It's very important that you speak and keep speaking on this subject so they understand your temperature. And then they can decide what they're going to vote on. That's the way the system works.
Well, I seem to think by the amount of volume that people are here, that is a strong no. And how many of you guys live in Cherry Creek area? Do you live in Cherry Creek?
I'm not gonna answer that. Thank you, though. So the,
Okay, so why is that? Why I'm comfortable. I live in Cherry Creek, 59, 57.
Okay, hold on. I understand that you're going down the wrong road here. I understand what you're doing, but please don't. Where they live is their business.
Excuse me, please don't what?
Please don't ask them where they live. They live in the valley. They reside in the valley. I know where they live.
You ask us, you want me to come up and represent myself and tell me so you guys can say, oh, Mr.
Yes.
Walter Walcott.
Yes.
Let's go to 59, 57 Cherry Creek Road. But then you guys can't dictate your own selves? Yeah.
No, that's not I'm here fighting for you. Let me listen to you and not them. They are workers in this building. So just leave them as workers in the
Well,
building.
unfortunately, we are taxpayers, and unfortunately,
Yes.
you guys kind of work for us.
You're right, but
So why
they will,
is it that
they will write the
why is it
report up
nobody
and they'll
gives
make
a straight answer?
Okay, stop, please. They're gonna write the report. The director's gonna read the report and we're gonna vote on the report. So the more temperature in the room there is, more understanding the directors get the feel of the motion here and that's where they're gonna vote. So asking where they live is not a pertinent question. Sorry?
Maybe it's
Can we
not
move on?
pertinent, but I feel that majority of people here are a strong no. And I just like to keep that clear that, is it are your 5 members going to vote yes, and then all this is going to happen and then have a bylaw on my officer and my property? Maybe we should be worried about infrastructure, Cherry Creek Road, Cherry Creek Water.
I'm doing whatever I can to make sure they understand.
Okay, well, there's been numerous times at the Cherry Creek Water Board that I blew my pressure reducing valve because of water spikes, and that's cost me money. Hot water tanks, damage to my floors. Is the Cherry Creek Water Board coming through that? I think we should be more important our energy towards our Cherry Creek district and infrastructure, roads, ditches, clean.
Okay, so we're different subjects here. The Cherry Creek Water Board is a different entity. Different board, has no relation to this whatsoever. The highways is the highway, which is Main Road. That's a different entity again. You're not on the OCP. Can I get you back on the OCP?
The OCP is a strong no for me.
Okay, great.
And I imagine 90%.
And I'd like to hear more people and see what their opinion is.
So I'd like to hear from you some more, Mike, please.
Pardon me?
I'd like to hear from you more in the community.
I will do my best. Like I said, I was your place, but you weren't there.
I'm sorry I missed you.
Okay.
Talk to you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sharon Price. I reside at 6625 Rosewood Road, out Cherry Creek. I've been a resident out there for 25 years with my husband, Mark, and the property's been in the family for decades. I think I want to start with, we can go back to 2012, or we can go back to even 3 years to when COVID hit and how everything had to be done via Zoom. People don't really know what's going on. I kind of feel the sense of things being passed and slid under the table like they are on provincial level and on a federal level if we're not paying attention, which we're not paying attention because everybody's working too damn hard right now, trying to feed their families and pay their bills. So I kind of have a few questions here. First of all, Mike has only been here for 2 months. I also think it's a responsibility of everyone who lives in Cherry Creek to be informed, to get informed. And that's what I'm doing finally, because I'm worried about what's coming down the pipe for all of us and our children and our grandchildren. So everyone's just trying to make a living. COVID shut a lot of people down. People are trying to start home-based business, whether it be a daycare, gym, farming. What are we going to do with little old grandma that's, selling her eggs or doing her flowers and What about the industrial businesses that have been here forever? We're just going to shut them down now because they don't have a big enough piece of property? I just don't think that's acceptable. I've lived out for 25 years. I have no problems with any of my neighbors. Like none whatsoever. Who's making these bylaws? Is it complaint based? And are the complaints anonymous? That's all I have to say.
So just to follow up on the complaint process, the board has a bylaw enforcement policy that directs how complaints are received and how our enforcement officer will implement that in the community, I guess, and they are anonymous complaints. So if there is an issue that a member of the community raises about a neighbor, we will reach out to that neighbor and engage with them and seek compliance is step one. And you know, we historically the regional district has had a lighter touch on that, and as staff we work hard to engage and to communicate with a landowner. And in many cases there are small changes, you know, that can be made that will bring that into compliance. In other times it's a misunderstanding and so on. So just so you know that is an anonymous process, and the board has a public policy that deals with how the regional district receives and administers complaints. So the complaints are an anonymous process. Who makes the bylaws? The regional district board votes on and makes the bylaws in open meetings. So all of these. That's the way a regional district works. There are representatives from each of the communities that sit at the table, and if they participate in that service, they get a vote on the bylaws that relate to it.
You're gonna have to go back to the microphone. People on Zoom can't hear.
So in terms of legal non-conforming businesses or grandfathered businesses, as we would call them, if they've been operating at the same scale and continuously since prior to the zoning bylaw in 1973, they are allowed to continue operating at that scale. And if that is the way the Local Government Act works, that's not a local rule, that is in the Local Government Act. So if you operate a business and you've been there since 1973, and there's a number of them in the regional district, you're allowed to continue operating that business.
Hi, my name is Shannon Billings, and since you're taking names and not giving your addresses, I don't really feel comfortable giving mine. But I do live in Cherry Creek. I've lived there since 2016 because when I came to look for a house, that was the best place to live. And I like the freedom of doing what I want, when I want on my property, along with my neighbors. If I want to do four-wheeling, whatever my little heart desires, if I want to have a boat, if I want to have, my husband has transport trucks. So if I want to have things on my property, I have every right to. First question for you is, how many people actually live in Cherry Creek? Some of these questions are honest questions from me.
Just under 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many board members for Cherry Creek are being paid? Well, you said some of these people are employees that work here at the regional district.
I am the board member, sit on the board, and these are the employees of the regional district. Yes.
Okay, so who does the voting when you meet with all the other representatives of the other areas?
The board does the voting. There's 14 on the board total.
And so you're just one of all the other boards. So they all just have one?
In this case, the OCP, there's only 6 that can vote.
Only 6?
Yes. Wilford, Banfield, Squirrel Lake. Go folks. Yes.
I've seen you.
There are
Mike, I met you at the Beaver Creek meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked you specifically, I know this is where you do your meetings, but I asked you specifically to open up that hall and let people know that you are there and for them to come and have a chat with you, just like what happened at Beaver Creek. I understand that's their hall. This is yours, but open up Cherry Creek Hall and give people a voice.
I agree. But the timeline didn't work out, unfortunately, because by the time I got in and got a letter out, because the letter only came to you 10 days ago. And that's the problem. I didn't have the time to do it. I'd love to do it. And
Okay.
hopefully in the future I can. I'm heard there's a bylaw coming up soon. I don't know anything about that yet. But yes, I will try as best I can if the hall's available. I have no problem doing that.
See, the fact is, people are starting to wake up to all these little control methods that are slowly being implemented. So the board members and people who make all these fancy little decisions, or what did you say? Scheming, not sitting back and coming up with all these great ideas. There's no ideas. I don't know what your guys' original responsibility was, but I don't think it has anything to do with butting your noses in on what we do on our properties. So I'm a big no. So my concern is, are you guys going to hire more like bylaw officers that are going to come around and enforce all this? Is that the plan? I'm asking a direct question.
I don't establish a plan. So that's not my job. That's not my role. I wouldn't even want to speak to it. We've had the zoning bylaw has been in place since 1973, as I mentioned, and we've had OCPs in each of the areas, and we're working to update the zoning first and then update the OCP.
Okay. Well, you're also working on updating the language so that you're on par with everyone else, correct?
So standardizing language between the 6 OCPs is one of the things that we've worked on through the OCP amendment bylaws. Yeah.
Okay. So in my suggestion, maybe you should relook at some of these old bylaws, because it's like, you can't drag a dead horse through the town on a certain day of the week. So maybe you guys should relook at some of your bylaws that you keep referring back to that are like way beyond. Sorry, there's a lot of old people that have lived in this town and have done whatever they wanted, even with your bylaws enforced. So obviously you're not enforcing them. And I can honestly say, if any bylaw offer comes to my property, give me all the goddamn tickets you want. I will not pay one ticket.
Okay, if I can respond to that, there's two parts to this. There's the OCP, which is the first part we're doing right now, and the bylaws, which people are getting a little upset about. That's coming down in the future. So right now, this is about the land size for the use, and then the bylaws are the chickens and the dogs and the cats and the RVs and the sea cans. That's later on, but you're right. That'll all be in consideration, but we can stick to the subject matter, and you could look at me, and then I'll ask if people want to answer the questions, because we're turning it off topic a little bit. But thank you.
You stop all of this right now. Just stop.
I don't think I can, unfortunately. That's the process is the process. I don't think I can. I don't think so. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Earl Angstrom, 3680 River Avenue. I think we've heard from a lot of people here, and it's getting angrier and angrier that are against these bylaws. I'd like to hear from anybody that's for the bylaws. They wouldn't mind coming up. If anybody's for the bylaws, I'd like to hear from them.
Thank you.
If you all get one vote, if the other 6 districts vote for it and you vote against it, does it pass anyways for us?
Yes.
So we're wasting our time here, basically.
No, you're not. No, you're not. There are other directors that are A, in the room and B, on Zoom right now, and they're listening, and they can hear and they understand. So you're doing a good job. Before we're stuck on one little subject, which is like the home ministry based thing. Does anybody else have any other issues or about the whole bylaw thing besides that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just got one thing, Mike. You're obviously a really good guy. You're a fireman. You're here for the people. Now, you got voted in by all these people because they know you. They like you. I'm not sure if I've ever met you, but if all these people like you, and I want to like you too, we will go to the ends of the earth to fight for you, but we want to see you as vocal as I am. We want to see you put your fist down, postpone this meeting, and just do everything in your power to fight for these people. There's no reason. It's words on paper. Oh, OCP amendment, blah. we're gonna do a fancy jig. You know, we just shut it down, postpone it, listen to the people. Nobody wants this. There's zero reason to vote for it. And you, by all rights, should be up there giving the people what they want and telling them, I'm voting it down. I'm voting it down. And next time it comes up, I'm voting it down. I hear what you say. Give us what we want, Mike, and we will go to the ends of the earth for you. But be our guy.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to be your guy, and this is the process. I have to work within the process, and I'm hearing you. But yes, and I think that people, other directors are hearing you too at this time. So I have on the podium right now. Go ahead.
Jamie Donovan. I live at 3380 Raleigh, top of Argyle. I want a well. You guys don't supply me any water. I'm on a right of way that I maintain myself. I got you guys breathing down my neck in bylaw because I've got a small excavator there that I've used to develop land. I use it to maintain the road. I'm responsible for all the maintenance, and I'm tired of all the bullshit with your fucking bylaw, and it's bullshit.
Are you in Cherry Creek?
I'm in Cherry Creek.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Oh, top of Argyle. Okay. Okay. I know where you're now. Okay.
But this crap in the bylaw, it has to stop.
All right. Thank you.
Robert Johnson from 2929 Mozart Road. I'm a retired doctor from Ontario. When I came here in 2019, right in time for COVID, I stopped getting a license in BC for a reason. The BC government, the federal government right now are corrupt. What I did find was if I was to tell everybody right now as a practitioner that Bonnie Henry in 2014 and 3 other doctors admitted that the masks that they were giving us did more harm and did no good. They didn't protect anybody. And I see we have somebody wearing one today and I want to protect people. But what happens is if I say that to any of my patients, I get a $200,000 fine and 6 months in jail. The BC government right now is just beginning. In 2030, we're all going to be without home and property and we're all going to be happy, guys. And this is a step towards it. You, Mike, I've talked to you. You're a wonderful human being, but you have no control over what's happening. We need to support you. We need to understand that what's going on right now is quite powerful and it's going to keep going. It's going to continue. And every month we'll see a little screw being pulled tighter and tighter. We've got to stand up as a group, as a community, whether we've been vaxxed or unvaxxed or whatever is irrelevant. We've got to stick together and work together as a team. We've got to be able to understand that we're being taken. I spoke to the school board and I spoke to the council and they gave me 3 minutes very politely, as they're doing right now, to be able to talk. But most of them were not even making eye contact with me because they got their $4.2 million and they had to sign a non-disclosure agreement that they couldn't say or do anything or they would have to repay their $4.2 million. The federal and the provincial governments right now are really corrupt and we have to stick together to be able to pull this. If we ask you to go out and defend us, you have no, you're going out with a popsicle stick. You won't be able to defend us because the provincial government, I'm with the Canadian Health Alliance right now. We're trying to form a new healthcare system. It's almost impossible. Every day, every week, Bill 36 has come in, and for any healthcare practitioner, they will prevent us from doing anything that will help people get healthy. That's all I have to say.
There's an OCP question, please.
Okay, my name is Mike Steeney. I live on 5275 Edland Road. And it's pretty clear the temperature in this room, obviously. I think you're getting that. So what I would like to propose, which has been said before, is how about we postpone this meeting, have it in Cherry Creek Hall, where there's enough room for everyone to attend and do it properly and hear people do what's right in the democratic system. And I'm asking you, Mike, to push for that because you're a representative and that's what we deserve.
So I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Banks, 3539 Beltham Road. So I've been listening here and I totally disagree with what you're planning. Could we possibly put together where everybody in Cherry Creek can write a letter, bring it in on the day that you tell us to, and then it's up to you to read it, because there's lots of people here that don't want to get up and say anything. We're scared, but we're not scared to write a letter where we can voice it, where we can sit at home, write down our feelings, all the truths of how we really feel, and then you guys can read them. And then you tell us when we have another meeting in Cherry Creek where it's going to be more fair. This isn't fair. Lots of us came here, didn't even know. I didn't know. My daughter from Okotoks sent me the Facebook. Good. I don't have time at home to be on that Facebook and all the rest. I don't like it, but I'll write you a letter and I'll drop it at Cherry Creek. And I am a stand here for everyone in Cherry Creek. 1,977 people should write a letter, and then you can spend a month reading it and then hold something that is positive. Thank you.
Thank you. You can write a letter. You can mail it. I have an email address. You can email it to me. I do read all the letters. If you gave me 1,900 letters, I would read 1,900 letters. I would. That's my job. That's what you told me to do. So yes, I will do that. And in the future, hopefully we can get more time between these things so you can get together. As far as Cherry Creek Hall, it's because the Zoom meeting part is part of it here. It's causing an issue with it's not going anywhere. So everybody that has a meeting comes here. So it's at Beaver Creek, Beaufort, Cherry Creek, Banfield, South Long Beach. They all start here and they work off Zoom and that too. So it's totally inconvenient for absolutely everybody. You're correct.
That Cherry Creek Hall, we had a meeting out there, Mike, about an issue in Cherry Creek, was filled to capacity. They didn't have enough chairs. There was people standing outside a few years back. I went to it, so did Dennis. There was like probably over 1,000, 1,500 people there. That's where the meeting should be.
So you're telling me you want ACRD to look in getting a portable Zoom unit set up to go around community? Okay. I'll bring that up for the meeting. I will.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm an alcoholic. Wrong meeting, sorry. Just thought I'd lighten the mood a little. The only question I have basically is, do you have the power to change the wording in what is currently proposed? Now, do you have the power, or does the staff have the power, or is it just its wording?
I mean, I'm happy to answer that. The decision-making authority lies with the board. So that, you know, the Director Sparrow represents Cherry Creek. There are, as we've mentioned before, 14 directors in total. 6 directors will vote on planning matters, and they set the policy.
Yeah, so if he says, or the board says, we don't like the wording, then it can come back to you and then it can be rewritten. Okay, that was my only question.
Okay. My name is Anna Maria Gaiga. I live in 3063 Durham Street. And to tell you the truth, I talk to you about freedom. Okay. I came in this country in 1965. We built our house, my husband and I, and we enjoy Cherry Creek. We love it. But just think about it. The government come after us. They take away the freedom of speech, the freedom of even almost everything, even the freedom, how can I say, the freedom of death. But also one thing I wanted to mention, freedom people die. Our ancestors die to have a freedom. And now they come in our houses, in our piece of property that we have, whatever it is big or small, they'll take us away the most fundamental right we humans should have. And we should fight for it. Sorry, my accent is strong. Maybe I'm a little bit nervous. I take the courage to say freedom is the most important thing. There is a statement that said, give me liberty or give me death.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, sorry, I'm nervous because I'm aware of my, I could speak a little bit better, but I'm nervous, okay?
Hi there, my name is Tanya Cook. Our address is 6475 Cherry Creek Road. We operate a home-based business, and we also park one tractor with a trailer on our 1 acre lot. So I just want to communicate that I am not for the proposed changes that you guys are proposing in the OCP. And then my other question to you guys is, if, as you mentioned, the board of 6 people, if it is voted in, what is our recourse as the residents of Cherry Creek to stop this, other than not paying bylaw charges? Like, what can we do to, if it's voted in from the board, do we have any recourse?
So a decision by the board, if it's conducted in an open meeting and the vote's conducted fairly, then the only recourse for member of the public would be to seek legal advice on whether that decision was made properly. But I think what you're doing right now is everybody who's out here and submitting their comments and letting their voice be heard. This is the process that allows for that. Mm-hmm. So this is, we're receiving all of the information. We'll let the board make the decision, like I said, at the upcoming meeting on May 10th. But the policies and the wording that's developed around the policies really comes from the members of the public. So the fact that you're here and you're letting your voice be heard, that is the intent of the public hearing process.
Okay, I'm concerned. I do hope that I think you guys are hearing us here. But I am concerned that we don't have any recourse as residents of Cherry Creek, and we've been very vocal. Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, I'm not for it.
Yeah. If I can make one comment, just so you know, there's 6 that are going to vote, and a tie vote is a defeat. So it has to be 4-2 to get either way. So 3-3 doesn't go through. That make you feel any better?
Are you with us?
I'm listening to you, and you tell me what to do, and I'm hearing what you want me to do. Period.
Okay, what I'm hearing, this Lars Bank again, is we want freedom. And going back to 2012, we lost it, but didn't even know it. Can we go backwards? Do we really need bylaws for this? I'm getting that we don't. I can't see they serve anything, and they just cost us money. Can we go backwards and remove 2012? Or how free can we make it? Well, I don't know how far we go back, but
Creek was one of the dates. It should have to be as simple as a text message. Or text them to our. Yeah.
So if we can just keep
bring it back to me.
Coming to the chair.
Yeah, focus on me again, please. I will see what I can do on that. It's already in the bylaw right now, and this is an update, so we can update it to what it should be in your eyes. That's the idea about how don't make it worse. You can make it more flexible. That's the whole idea, if that's what you want. So,
can we remove it or not?
I don't think we can remove it. Probably modify it. Go ahead.
The board can. Sorry, can we just reduce the background noise a little bit here? The board can make any changes to a bylaw by resolution. So the board has the ability to do that. If there's broader changes about the things I mentioned before, like where does Cherry Creek want to go as a community? What types of uses do you want to see in certain areas, and what types you want to see in other areas? That really is an OCP update. And if the community needs a new official community plan that's driven from the comments and the feelings of the residents today, then I think it's appropriate that the regional district has that conversation with you and has a conversation with people.
On a personal note, I don't think we need very many bylaws. I think we need freedom. I'm pretty happy with everything my neighbors do. And if I'm not happy, I can talk to them. And there's probably nothing you can really do to change that anyway as a regional district anyway, in the sense of really how well does a bylaw actually work? I'm kind of just thinking we'd rather not have them.
Okay, I hear you. So the last little bit there, we kind of got a little off track in the background noise, got too much, there's too many side conversations. So if you want to have a secondary conversation, can you have it in a secondary room? Because it's starting to get feedback and people are not hearing us well online. So I'm talking, of course, Mr. Wilson.
I should let someone else talk.
Yes, we should do that. Okay, so anybody else have any other comments? Sure, go ahead. And we'll stay to the OCP if we can.
I'm a hard no. So is Mark. He's already left. I do think that we need to get this information out to the community better than it's been happening. Okay, you've said that you've had problems with the letters. What happened to the old mail out letter? There's a lot of people here who don't like the internet, don't like computers. Especially the last 3 years. So I definitely think that as a community in the whole, we need to be better informed so that we can be better informed. Okay, so hard no. Mike, hard no. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is we need more lead time to get the paper copies out to the public, because it was only last week it came out. That was too late, and I agree.
My name's Tammy Chater. I live at 5943 Cottam Road. I moved to this community, and I say community, about 20 years ago. And I moved here specifically because I can walk down the street and buy eggs, I can buy flowers, I can drive down the street and get my car detailed. I live in Cherry Creek because I love the community and I want to have the freedom. I don't have any of those things for my house, but I want the freedom to decide if I want to have anything like that for my house. So it's a hard no for me. And I'm very concerned for a lot of the citizens in Cherry Creek. We have a beautiful community. I would like it to stay that way. Thank you.
Better?
Hold on. I have two people online I'd like to address. I have Charles DeHamel.
Hi, myself and my partner are joining, but it's just from his name. So our address is 4665 Butte Street. My name's Jacqueline Walker and my partner is Charles DeHamel. I just wanted to share some comments and I think we both will. Can everyone hear fine?
Doing fine.
Yes, we can, Jack.
Okay, thank you. So we've recently moved here and I kind of got involved because we're looking to understand more about the area and the intentions for the area. And I wanted to share some things first that surprised me in the process of trying to participate in this issue. This is something that others have spoken to. Others have touched on that it hasn't been a very accessible or transparent process relating to delays in notice, and the lack of plain language, I think, provided in explanations sort of deters involvement and engagement, and sort of seems I could also understand why it might seem intentional to maybe deter people getting engaged because the language is so complexly delivered. And the other thing is that someone else mentioned is I wouldn't have known about this unless I kind of pulled over in time to look at a sandwich board and take a photo of that. And that doesn't necessarily seem to be the best way, or it just seems like there could be more efforts put towards engaging the public and getting feedback so that everyone does feel they've been consulted and considered. And to speak more to the land use of the what's being proposed, I was trying to determine whether changes would look like an investment in the community. And I'd like to know a bit more about what other people think about the land use from the map that's been provided. And I want to understand how this gets factored into people's responses and their desire for the future of the community. And so just one thing I wanted to point out is that from the map, its majority is resource use, the vast, vast majority. And so to me, it doesn't necessarily look like the residents will get much benefit from the use of parks and recreational space. It's kind of surprising to see, considering the portrayal of Port Alberni as a space for recreation and natural space. And, you know, anywhere Port Alberni advertises itself, it does so with imagery of, you know, well cared for natural scenery and you know, outdoor recreation. And others have spoken to their kind of use of recreational vehicles and other recreational interests. So I wonder about the lack of that being reflected in the land use designation outlined for this area. And so that's sort of my impression, and as someone neighboring this area. But I'm also curious in understanding where others lie on this. And I think it's probably important too, like the chair has noted, to get it on the record so that others understand that when they're making their decisions. And if I could possibly, I think my partner is saying that he's good, so I'll wrap my comments up there.
Okay. Thank you for that. That'll be duly noted and move forward, I guess. I have a Heather Powell also on Zoom.
Hi, good evening. My name is Heather Powell, and I live at 3133 Alberni Highway. After going through the zoning bylaw and having a look at the map, I think that we're not being very progressive in our concerns for housing, which is a large initiative across Canada right now in every municipality. And it seems by the language that is in our zoning bylaws that we're actually making it more and more difficult for everyone to kind of come to simple solutions for additional housing, whether it be not having suites and basements or any other options for having carriage houses. I think that when you go through dwelling units and what the dwelling units definitions are, and it comes right down to the very definitions in some cases, I think that the system that we have right now is just way too complex. I think that what I'm hearing from everyone, and I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but I'm hearing from everybody here tonight that we want it simple. We want less regulation. And we want the regulations that we do have, we want them simple for us to understand. So in talking about the zoning and the bylaw part, what I'm reading is that it's going to be near to impossible for bylaw enforcement to actually enforce a lot of the bylaws that we've actually put in place. Secondly, I just want to really quickly have a look at the actual zoning map and say that, you know, if we're looking at corridor areas that, you know, in a corridor area where you can see how Port Alberni itself has developed on the ends of us, I think we have to look at our corridors and we have to call those for higher density because they are a corridor, or call them maybe like service industry because they're on a highway corridor. And keep the rural areas more rural in the back area. Anyways, I just wanted to make those couple comments, and like I said, keep it simple. This zoning bylaw is way too complex, And I think the definitions need to be much clearer, much more specific, and so that everybody can understand them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad they went first. Gave my heart a time to stop beating us sometimes. Yeah, Brian Stoker, 6182 Cherry Creek Road. Yeah, just in like the interest of like transparency and just clarity, right? So you're saying that the temperature of the room now, like that'll kind of swing your vote to a certain way. Now, are you officially saying that if people don't come up here and say yay or nay, that won't change your decision, or is the people saying it out loud, does that mean anything to you?
It has to work as a written document. So the more people come up like you and speak what you want to say, the more depth it has, more weight it has. And remember, there are people, there are directors that aren't here that'll read just the minutes. They won't be able to feel the temperature, but be able to read the minutes. So the more people that come up and speak what they want to say, the more they'll have to base their decision on. So yes, the more you can get people to talk in the microphone, the better off it is for a decision.
Okay, so I mean, like, probably not a lot of public speakers here, but I think we can walk up and say no way. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just no, say your name, whatever, right? Well, that's the thing, right? So like, we're here for each other. Maybe we can do that. So, right? Yeah, like, so another thing with transparency, you're saying there's like anonymous complaints. Now, is there a volume that you can release, which I believe you can, just not names, right? There should be like a chart of how many people anonymous complaints there have been. And like, is it a small percentage that are like swaying all this, right? So like, is there less complaints than the actual people in Cherry Creek? Like, so it's like, you're basing it on this small number, or is it a big number? Like, can we know that?
The volume of complaints is public information. We do report that to the board every year, and I don't know the number that it is offhand, but it's it's much less than what the number of people live in Cherry Creek, for example, like the example you used. But the direction on the OCP updates that have taken place aren't really enforcement driven at this point. If we're hearing that some aspect of the OCP amendment bylaw B1446 that we're dealing with tonight is not appealing to members of the community, then this is the opportunity to hear that. If you wish to make a complaint specific to a use that's happening on a neighboring property of yours, and that's the anonymous complaint that you make to the regional district, and then allow us to deal with it.
Yeah, okay. I do, like I said, just educational purposes, right? Because like you said earlier, like it's kind of been based on these anonymous complaints of moving forward. So it's like, just a little bit, why is the larger voice being kind of ignored in that sense, I guess? I don't know. Yeah, like, so anyway, and then did have one other thing I wanted to say, but I forget it now. Try not to make too much of an ass of myself. I don't see my wife's name on there. So so now for this meeting is just Cherry Creekers, right? Board member, Cherry Creekers, right? Everybody on Zoom is from Cherry Creek, I assume, besides one director, or?
No, you can listen to it anywhere you want. There are people in here from Squirrel Lake and from Beaver Creek. I know who's who here.
Okay, but they all have their,
But they can listen.
okay, but they all have separate meetings, do they not?
They all have separate meetings, and all the OCPs, the other 5, I believe, have been passed.
Okay, so this whole thing about not being able to meet at our own hall, which a few of us showed up at, because all there is a little sandwich board sign. I'm not going to stop in the middle of an intersection and read that thing. So when you see Cherry Creek meeting, you think Cherry Creek Hall, right? So when you say, oh, we don't have the Zoom capabilities, it's like, well, this is a Cherry Creek issue, right? Like, if they want to be in on that, they need to come to Cherry Creek. I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just saying, like, that's just logical, right? Like,
that has been brought up, and I said I'd bring that motion up to try and see what it's going to cost to make a Zoom meeting out there. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, Zoom be damned. It's like, if we had enough time, anyone on Zoom could come. You know what I mean, right? I'm sure there's 19 people now that could have been here if we had more than 10 days.
and we wouldn't need Zoom. We could all meet as a community, which is what we do, right? So when I moved here and I bought in Cherry Creek, right? And, you know, I had some land plans or whatever, right? So I called the district and I talked to a gentleman, right? Me and my wife talked to a gentleman. I said, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing, right? And he gave me kind of a lowdown. He's like, yeah, like old bylaws say you can have 1 milking cow and 2 carriage horses. So they're a little outdated, right? He's like, but ask your neighbors, right? If they're good with it, I don't see the problem, right? We're going to be updating some stuff right now. I know this is OCP. I know this isn't, you know, it's made clear that this isn't bylaw thing, so I'm not going to talk too much to that, right? But like, so why aren't our neighbors meeting at our neighboring thing, you know, at our hall, right? And then neighbors meeting neighbors, like the community meeting the community, right? Like, so the whole Zoom thing, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but like, that really doesn't make sense to me. And it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people.
So
well,
what?
yeah, Cherry Creek politics.
I'll pull it back in again, tie it up here.
Yeah.
So what happened in, we had a thing called COVID, you probably heard about it. And that kind of tied everything down and we had to meet remotely. And the way they did that was through Zoom. So the directors could meet at home. And of course, it expanded from that. And this is what we got now. So there are people on Zoom that I know where they're from. They're from all different areas of the valley. So that's why they do it here. So I'm going to bring it up, see if they can bring up portable. It was all the time in Cherry Creek or Beaver Creek or how to be the community, but that little thing called COVID kind of kicked the unit out of that. But
but we don't have those restrictions right now. No, right? You managed to like, you know, give us a 10-day notice. About 3 out of 5 people that I talked to didn't receive the notice. I did, right? But the other 3 didn't. You know what I mean, right? So, and like, just to continue on and bring COVID into this is a little ridiculous. I'm sorry, but like, that's, you know, like, right? Like, that's just kind of a weird thing to even talk about right now.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So
let's pull it back to the OCP. But yeah, the COVID thing, what started the Zoom, that's what you asked about Zoom. That's where it came from, was COVID.
Yeah.
So
no, I didn't ask about the Zoom. I said, why, if we didn't have, like, if we didn't, you know what I mean? Like, if we had more than 10 days, we wouldn't need Zoom. We can meet at Cherry Creek Hall.
I hear you, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, and I'm not just trying to beat a dead horse. It's that I came here and there's nowhere to sit, barely anywhere to stand. I had to sit on the floor, right? Like, you guys are smart. You're board of directors. You know how these meetings go. And to think that this would work and that everybody would come here to have a voice is a little ridiculous. You know what I mean, right? I'm not saying this about Zoom and COVID. I'm talking about inclusion, right? Like, this is a people's meeting. This is a community meeting, and you haven't given us any room to do that, right? Like, you know,
is that the end of the question?
Right.
I tell you, so Beaver Creek had the OCP, and they had, I think, 8 people here.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably standard for everybody else. Cherry Creek's a little different because you are community minded, you are electorally driven, and you are here. So you're the anomaly. And yes, I thank you for being here, I really do. But this is not a normal meeting. This is probably the most people this place has ever had. So when the bylaws show up in a while, I'm assuming we got to do something different because it's going to be even bigger. But you're right. We're going to have to work through this and get going on it. But right now we're dealing with the OCP.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for that?
Not at all. I just say no. But the same thing is, like, a lot of more people will be able to speak to it if we can fit in here, right? So take that into consideration. Like,
absolutely. I just did. And we'll bring it up. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other first-time speakers? There's one.
Hi, I'm Zelda Vandenbroek from 5851 Rumpkin Street. We're short 0.3 acre on our 5-acre lot. So we've ran a successful business out of there for approximately 25 years. So we're definitely a hard no for this. We just want to keep doing what we're doing, and people can mind their own business and truck along.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Is there any more first-time speakers before we go second-time speakers again? Oh, there's one behind you.
My name is Mike Revin from 6523 Cherry Creek. I'd just like to ask a question regarding the OCP. This was initiated back in, was it 2012? 11 years?
This is the update.
Okay. Just funny. So who puts forth this initiative? Like, who started the whole thing? Why is it in place? Like, to what end does it travel? Who put it to you to start this is my question.
So the board directed staff to work on that. At the same time, the regional district updated the Cherry Creek OCP in 2012. We also updated the other three in the Alberni Valley and Banfield at the same time. So in a period between 2011 and 2014, we updated 5 of the community plans, and that was all directed by the board at that time, and then ultimately voted on by the board as well.
Okay, so if you are listening to the majority of, well, say not almost all the people in this room, which is probably somewhat representative of Cherry Creek, and they're not interested in having this move ahead, if the board initiated it, can the board stop it? Like, why couldn't you just go, we don't want it? Just out of interest. It's just a question.
So, I mean, as we've mentioned already, the board is the ultimate decision-making authority on the bylaws. So they have the ability to vote no on a bylaw amendment if they wish to.
Okay, so for me, Mike Revin, on this, I'm sort of a hard no, but it doesn't mean I'm against responsible zoning bylaws. I mean, I think probably everybody is here. The last thing you want to do is spend big bucks for your property. Somebody moves in from somewhere, puts a rendering plant next door. I mean, that's 100% a possibility. And my property on Cherry Creek has a 2,000 square foot truck shop on it, and that business has been there since about 1972, Faulkner Trucking. I choose not to operate as that, but I pay taxes on half of that property as a business. And it should be my choice, having paid for that property, that if I want to continue to run it, especially if I've been paying taxes on it, I believe there should be grandfathered. And I believe that should be that for the rest of the people that have made their livings off their business on their property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Wayne Smith, 3000 Mozart Road. Well, if you have a meeting over in Cherry Creek, I think it's pretty obvious. You're just going to get a lot more people saying they don't agree with any of this. So it's this is a pretty good indication right here. You got 100% here, you're going to have 100% over there. So I think the mood is that as far as these bylaws go, it would be, we will not comply. Simple as that. Now, on the other matter, back to the OCP, I'm kind of curious as to what is in there for, there's a lot of other factors, a lot of other big issues that are going on with the Alberni Valley and people moving here, expansion into the other areas. I know that one of the big concerns in Cherry Creek is being accepted or forced into a district municipality type of a situation. So I wonder if in this OCP, there's planning for the city to expand away from Cherry Creek towards the south. We do have the Cherry Creek zone goes all the way down south of Port Alberni. So, and we can't service a lot of that for water or anything else like that. So what's in there for to allow the city to basically go the other way and out of our area? Thank you.
You want to answer that? You want me to answer that?
I'd be happy to answer it and you can follow up. So there is nothing in the OCP that would support or speak to expansion of the city. There's a separate process for that, and that's outside of the community plan.
Yeah. So yeah, if people like live in Cherry Creek next to the city and want to join the city, I can't stop them. It's their decision. They have services we can't give them, like sewer. They can join, and they can just change over from Cherry Creek to the city. So no, we can't do a thing about it. That's just the way the cities work.
Well, hopefully I'm the last one for you guys. Robert Johnson, still at 2929 Mozart Road. In the healthcare system, they played hardball with any healthcare professionals, and the provincial government and federal government can play hardball. This is softball, guys. It looks like we're going through the motions. We got to support Mike and his people. Getting him to go and ask for us to say no won't amount to a hill of beans. We have over 6,000 doctors across Canada that lost their livelihood. They don't care. In 1992, Brian Mulroney signed a document that gave the UN control over all the municipalities under the Green Movement. It sounded like they're going to come in and help us take care of our garbage. But what just recently happened in New Zealand and in Vancouver is the United Nations graciously gave back the land to the Indigenous people, whatever that means. I was born in Canada, so I guess I'm Indigenous. But what happened in New Zealand is once the land was given over to the indigenous people. And they were not able to deal with it.
Is there a question coming up here?
How do you run Vancouver? Question coming up.
Okay.
How do you run Vancouver? They couldn't. And the UN came in and said, don't worry about it, we'll take over. There's a process going on here, guys, a big picture that the process is we are being taken over. And in 2030, we will have nothing and be happy with it. We need to support you, Mike, and we need to, every single person has to come by this mic and say no. And we do Terry Hall ourselves. Our strength is in our numbers. And if we can get together as a group and build that strength, at least we can come together and the provincial government will have not just 6 people saying we don't think the people like it, because they'll get around it some way. They'll play hardball and force things to happen the way they want them to happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a whole, well, they're running to the microphone now. Okay,
It's very hard.
this is with the OCP?
Yes,
Yay, good. Okay.
actually, I just wanted to say I'm really confused.
Name,
Heather Wilson, 5585 Mayville Road. Just forgot where I lived. After all this. Yeah, no, I came because I thought, well, I've been zooming through this Cherry Creek official community plan, and I've learned a lot since I was here last. It's just a guideline that you come up with, correct? You're just changing a lot of words in here, but you're also guideline. It's not bylaws. It's not going to be the law. It's just the guideline for the community. That was the vision. This is now the new vision, which hasn't changed very much as I read the old one and I read this one. So we already have, so in there though, there was one thing I wanted to comment. It says the community, being Cherry Creek, main drinking water source, which is also the city of Port Alberni's main water source, is located in forestry lands. Now I'm thinking that that's wrong because I just know the Bainbridge ones, some of those Franklin River Road properties are serviced from there, and that's in Cherry Creek. But Cherry Creek's water comes from Lacey Lake, does it not? Like the main part. Yeah. So I just noticed that was a mistake. It's not a big deal.
oh no, actually the Cherry Creek water comes from Nanaimo. We just said Nanaimo because the boundaries. So your lake doesn't even exist in
But it
ACRD land.
Yeah, but it just seems funny that we don't have the same water as the city of Port Alberni. Do we? It
No.
just seemed like that was a mistake in here.
You're completely separate from the city and the water systems. Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's in the.
But they said there are places in Cherry Creek goes down to China Creek Marina. That's Cherry Creek. So
Right.
if they get water from the city source, they're city water. Yes.
Yeah, but not the main part of Cherry Creek is not.
No.
Right, my water.
No, not your water.
Yeah, no, and so it's just that some changes in here, but we already have bylaws, do we not, from the regional district that are going to be coming up for voting. I mean, for public comment. And that's why I thought all these people would come, because it's those bylaws that really affect us and the ones that will change. This is just a vision which you can represent us and say, no, we don't like this in here. We don't want to change this. We don't want to make this more restrictive. But in the end, the bylaws that are being redone now from the regional district here, that's what the public hearing should be. That's where you want to come and complain. Is it not really? Because we've already got bylaws. You can only put something on 1 acre. You can only put something on 2 acres. It's like people think we don't already have bylaws. And this official community plan, it comes up with volunteers can be on this planning, right? Is there not up to 11 people?
Yeah, there is. Yep.
Yeah, and right now I think we're short. So if anybody wants to go on there but it's the input, it's the vision, and I don't know sometimes where they're getting the vision from, but some of the things I don't agree with, like how they say they want to discourage subdivision of land within the ALR, like leaving it in the ALR, but maybe make it smaller. It's like I came from a wetland, 5 acres in the ALR. No farming, couldn't do anything, but you could have had myself and my son and my, relatives on it. But I think you should encourage it. If it's not farmland, leave it in the ALR if you want to, but let, like there's 10 acre piece, be 2 5 acre pieces. Maybe some of it can be
cattle or whatever.
Okay,
But we have rules already, right? But this community plan is just a vision, correct? Like, we can say we don't like it and we can let you know, but
Yes,
then the
you can do that.
bylaws are different.
the bylaws are on top of the community plan. The community plan
Yes.
decides what you want to do in your community. This, I sort of says a community plan.
Right,
That's what it is.
yeah,
Right. Some of the things, other things you touched on there was the ALR. Well, ALR is exactly that. And this community plan will probably mirror the ALR guidelines. So when you say that you could subdivide, you can't because ALR.
no,
won't
I
let
know you
So,
can't, but
yes.
you're also saying you want to. Cherry Creek as a community wants to discourage that.
I think it's part of the ALR, but
Well, it is part of the ALR, but
Yes,
you're
so-
actively saying that you want to promote no, and not taking anything out of the ALR and not being able to even subdivide, leaving it in the ALR. That this plan, whoever makes up the plan,
Mhm.
is saying that you're going to discourage that and you're going to discourage anything. So obviously it's tough to get stuff out of the ALR, but it's even tougher when it starts here and you can't even discuss it because you're saying, no, we're not doing any of that. But this meeting is just about our plan, correct?
correct. What you want for the community. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
seems like the whole meeting was about actual bylaws that they don't want to
No,
come in.
no, we're still talking community plan. We're talking about bylaws. That's going to come later. That's going to
I
tell
know
you.
that's gonna come
Okay,
later, but I think
okay,
what people are
okay.
complaining about is those bylaws that are coming, because I've read them too. Like I told my son today, I can have 48 chickens, 6 goats, 60, but I think we have to have some rules. I really
Okay.
think we have, and we already do have rules. We have a lot of bylaws, right? In the regional district.
So is there a question coming up soon? Do you have a question about the
You haven't seen
OCP?
my house. It's not my house.
So,
I'm not on.
okay, hey, we're starting crosstalk here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, this way so the camera can see you.
Yeah.
You're on camera right now. just so
I
you
know.
Okay, good.
So
So you have a question?
I just wanted to know, wouldn't a lot of this be better brought to the meetings that are going to be coming up where the actual bylaws are in place? Or if we're not, if you listen to the people here tonight
Yeah.
about this official, and it doesn't get like passed, you don't go along with it, but the other 5 districts already have, right?
They
Passed
have.
their official community. So then when the new zoning bylaws come in from the regional district,
Mhm.
will that mean Cherry Creek is separate? Like we won't be involved in that, or we will be involved in that?
That's part of the discussion moving forward.
Okay.
If we don't make our own bylaws or our own, I know the regional district wants to make one complete bylaw for everything, but
That's what I mean.
again, what do you want? That's the question. I speak for you.
I
right?
want there to be some rules, but I don't think they can be enforced. Like I don't want, if the person beside me sells, I don't want to have like 16 goats and 100 chickens because chickens bring rats. Like, I mean, I really think there have to be some rules, and
Okay.
I don't mind the rules. I'm not agreeing with all the vision, the community official plan. No, I'm not. But I think people who don't realize all the rules are already in place because they don't have time. Was there not meetings on this, public meetings held at the hall, like what was
No.
planned? My
Yeah.
friend just said he went
Yeah.
to one like maybe last year, and it was very easy, a lot more to understand than on the internet here. But I don't think people realize that. There's been a lot of input, which I missed most of it myself because I just recently moved back to Cherry Creek. So I didn't go to that meeting, but it's not things are not always a surprise, but people, I guess it gets out on Facebook and it seems like it's a surprise. But how many people did they say? Almost 2,000 people in Cherry Creek, and how many came and voted for the director's election? 400 and something. That was my tally. So I'm trying to get involved. I'm trying to learn. That's my point.
Okay.
And so if you want to be involved, then go and vote for your director. Don't stay home and then just come at the last minute and complain. Get involved, find out, and go to the meetings and go to things. And I haven't gone to them myself, so I'm just learning too. But I know we have a lot of bylaws already in place, and I think people don't, because they don't really get enforced. So I don't think I don't think that's all I'm gonna say.
And my job is to make sure you understand that these laws are out there and you can tell me what you think and what direction Cherry Creek wants to do. That's what this meeting's about. It's about this community plan and what Cherry Creek wants to do with it. And that's why we're here.
Yeah,
right?
well,
This is the basis of the thing. And then after that, the bylaws come later and be on top of it. So
right.
I'm hearing what the meeting is tonight. And I'm hearing what people want to say. So yes,
Yeah. I
hopefully
think-
you stay
I think
involved.
Everybody should learn more and get more involved.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Nope, we're gonna go one-time speakers over there.
Hi, my name's Nicole Neuwirth. I live at 3440 Milligan Road. And I didn't want to speak tonight. I'm not good at speaking, but obviously I have to because I totally don't agree with what's
With what part?
all of it.
All of it?
All of
Okay.
it. Totally. I want freedom. I love Cherry Creek and that's what
Yeah, thank
I
you.
feel.
2865 Highmore. Just found out on Facebook through Logan, not even friends with them. Somebody sent it to me. That's how I found out. Supposedly it was on my mailbox, but it was ripped down. Told my neighbor over there about it. And so I just want to come up here and say hard no.
Okay, good. And we do work on communication. Hope you on the, what do you like, Alex? Who your name, please?
It's Alicia Spencer.
Thank you, Alicia.
Name's David Gear. Just like to say that.
Address?
3092 Stockton Street. Just wanted to say that my significant other and I are both hard nosed. Thanks.
Thank you. Nope.
Chad Hubbard. I'm
Address?
I have rentals in Cherry Creek. I'm a business owner. Pretty much this community has supported my business and being able to grow. And without that, and I haven't had an opportunity to have extra funding. You know, it's a struggle every day that we're out there trying to help our community. There's a lot of my customers that are actually in the room that I've helped, but I don't have that land. I'm not even going to be able to afford that land, especially with the way that inflation's going and just trying to provide jobs for my customers. The amount that I'm spending on materials to help customers to minimize what I can do to help them, it just doesn't even out. And now you guys putting a limit on land size, it limits my ability to help my customers. It takes away from me being able to support my family and put food on the table. You know, the ripple effect of that. I sponsor 3 baseball teams, one in Courtney, one here, and one in Qualcomm. I coach on all 3 of them. I wouldn't be able to do that stuff and support those teams and help this community if I didn't have the community behind me and the space to be able to bring my machines in and fix things and do that sort of stuff. I understand there's a good, you know, amount that should be allowed and not allowed, you know, but home-based businesses, backyard businesses, this is what this community has actually strived on. Being your neighbor down the road, you know, the government overreach, let's report our neighbor if they do something wrong. This community is not about that. This community is about sticking together and helping each other. And that's why I'm here. And I'm able to do the job to help these people because they've all stuck behind me to make my company what it is for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Bob Babbage. I have lived in Cherry Creek for over 30 years. I absolutely love the community. As far as I'm concerned, I've lived in town. It doesn't compare. And I just want to say I'm a hard no to all of this.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we got one right behind you, Alex.
Hi, Charlene Lacroix, 6659 Cherry Creek Road, and I'm a hard no against all of it as well.
Okay, thank you. We have one on the wall over here.
Gary Vandenbroek, 5851 Rumsby Street, Cherry Creek. I'm a hard no.
Okay, and we have one at the podium. I can see you there, but you're second. So yes, podium.
Hello, my name is Marty Dieterle, and I live on Elstow Road. And I'm a hard no, and I've been there since 1972, and I'm still there, and I'm still going on everything. And I've spent all my money buying my little goodies and toys And if your guys are gonna tell me that I can't have them on my yard, you guys are gonna have to buy them back from me, pay the full price, and I want taxes on top of that, because I pay tax to the government on every one of them vehicles. So you guys will have to pay back, and they're all in my name, along with every one of my trailers.
All right. No, no question. Okay, any more first-time speakers? So I had, yes,
It is.
oh,
You need my name and address again?
just your first name.
Earl Engstrom.
Okay.
As I've been listening, everyone here is feeling like, so we have 6 votes, part of a board, you're one of the votes?
Correct.
I haven't heard one person here that agrees with our community plan and what direction the other 5 districts are going to force upon us. So Mike, why don't you just pull out? Just pull out, because we don't want them telling us what to do. We'll do it ourselves. It's our neighborhood. It's our community. Pull out. Do not go. Quit. We don't want to be a part. No, seriously, I'm not kidding.
I know if I don't.
Pull out, because we don't want to be a part of the other communities telling us what to do. They can do what they want to do. We'll do what we want to do. No one here is agreeing with the plan. Why should they enforce upon us what they want to enforce upon us? And I understand you have to be a politician and try to get along with the other 5. Just say, my constituents, not one of them came up and speaking in favor of this plan. So we're pulling out. We're going to do our own.
Well, that's the idea behind the public meetings, is to get people to speak, and they're going to read the minutes and they're going to understand how the feeling in the room is, and then they should understand what.
Does anybody here want 5 other districts telling us what to do?
Oh.
Okay, then there's your mandate. Pull out. Don't laugh. I'm not kidding. Just quit. We don't have to play the game. Pull out. It's us.
Hey, hold on. You do understand for 6 months, Cherry Creek had no representative. And for 6 months, they still voted things in Cherry Creek. Pulling out's not the option, because they can still vote it in.
They just quit. We don't have to abide by their rules.
It doesn't work that way. We have to.
Why doesn't it work that way, Mike?
No, anyway, have you got a question for the OCP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not let 5 other districts tell us what to do. My question is, what are you going to do after hearing what your people here allow 5 other districts tell us what to do? Are you?
I'm hoping they're listening very well and they understand the temperature in the room. One first timer right over here.
Hello, Dennis Franker, 6614 Andrews Lane. I've been born and raised in the district. I've been there all my life. I've lived in my property for 45 years, but I've also been on the APC doing all this planning since probably, I can't remember exactly. It's either 1980 or 1981 that I've been involved with this planning. So I'm sorry, people. We do need some of the rules. We've had a lot of crazy stuff come down the pipe over the years, so we do have to have some rules. I'm not in agreement with the sizes of lots and things, the restrictions we've got here. So I'm still not in agreement with this plan as it is, but we do need the rules. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bill McGuire, Moore Road. The way I see it, if the other 5 members have already voted this through, then it's going to be voted through. And if we can't put further input in after this meeting is over, we're all wasting our time because it's being rammed through anyways.
Well, in Cherry Creek's defense, Beaver Creek had 8 people at their meeting. Well, okay, but so I can't speak on how people are going to vote, but if they see the meeting minutes and they see the volume of people here, they'll understand what.
They don't care about that.
Oh, they should.
It's already been passed.
In their
By
districts.
everybody else.
Yes, this is the voice. Okay, we gotta stop crosstalk. No, hey, yo. Hello, stop it. Stop the crosstalk.
What do you mean? I tell the truth. Why don't you listen?
I am listening to you, but you guys are talking back and forth. This meeting's recorded and you have to talk to me, so it's recorded. Otherwise, it's nothing.
Well,
That's why I said stop the crosstalk. Talk to me,
I thought
please.
you were-
No, I'm not trying to get mad at you. I'm trying to get it recorded properly so your voice can be heard properly. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you've heard.
We have somebody on the line somewhere? We do. We have a hand up. Ravinder.
Hi there, Ravinder Dillon, 2890 Mozart Road. I've been listening to this evening, and I have a couple things that I would like to say. One thing is obviously this the venue. This is completely, I do appreciate, mind you, the Zoom, just because it's conducive to me being able to attend. But with regards to the amount of people and it being held in the ACRD boardroom as opposed to the Cherry Creek Hall, 100% agree. I don't think the notification and the dissemination of information was well done. I didn't know about it. I found out through Facebook, and I'm rarely on Facebook. And that is, and to send out the correspondence and have a meeting, a hearing such as this 10 days afterwards, I don't think is adequate timing or enough, shall I say. And one thing that I think my biggest issue is, and why I chose to raise my hand finally after listening this evening, is it's been repeatedly said that there's other board members or directors that are going to make this decision on our behalf, and that they're going to be reading the minutes to get the temperature of the room and the feeling of the Cherry Creek residents. Why are they not listening? You can't read something and it be entirely conducive to capture the emotion of the people that are speaking. Why couldn't they attend as I attended a Zoom? And they're going to decide our fate as Cherry Creek residents?
Yeah, you're right. That's the system. I vote on Sport Lake, I vote on Long Beach, I vote on Banfield. But I read all the minutes and I try and decipher exactly what the temperature of the room is.
Okay.
What is going on.
Okay, again, my point is, if they are voting on our behalf, why are they not listening and participating and absorbing the meeting as opposed to reading minutes?
Well, I can tell you for a fact that there is a director in the room, there's a director online, and the other ones will probably be reading the minutes. So you are talking directly.
Again, I guess I'm not making it clear. I think that they should be listening is where I guess my point is, but clearly that's not the case.
There's one 15 feet away. What more do you want? I mean, sure.
No, I'm not trying to be contentious, but what has been repeatedly said is that the other directors that are not here participating and listening to all of the people speaking are going to interpret by reading the minutes. And that I'm just saying that I don't think is conducive to feeling and understanding how people are feeling about this issue and the emotion that is being expressed.
Hold on for a second.
Hi, Ravinder. Susan Ross here, and I'm Beaver Creek, and I'm in the room and I'm listening to everything. We're not allowed to show our bias. So I'm just taking everything in that everyone's saying. And then when it gets to the boardroom table, I'll say yay or nay, but we're not allowed to show it.
No, Susan, I'm not saying that you have to be showing or anything, but repeatedly it's been said that 6 people are voting on this issue for Cherry Creek, correct?
That's right.
Shouldn't they all be here? That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you too. I don't like it whenever I don't know that there's one of these types of meetings going on and I missed it. I don't like that at all. I'd rather be in the room and listening and feeling people out. It's way better.
100%. Thanks, Susan.
Moving on. Anybody else? The first time speakers? Just any first time speakers? Alrighty. She's been there, done that.
Yeah, 6875 Cherry Creek Road.
And your name?
Al Rummel.
Okay.
And my grandpa had a business running out there. My dad, I run a business. I hope my son gets to have a chance to go out of there too. This is bullshit. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Hello, I'm Lyle Penny, 3570 Walmer Road, and I'd like to know what's wrong with the old bloody thing we got.
Well, the old thing is, needs to be updated first of all, and
Why?
well, because there's more infill
Because
in
it's
Cherry Creek.
working
than
really
there-
well, so you want to change it?
No, I want to change it for the better. You told
No,
me,
apparently not.
well, then I'm hearing that.
Yeah, well, I'm totally against this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I got a couple questions, but I just want to say that you guys have made it clear that this is the separate, like OCP, it's not the bylaw thing, but they kind of wash each other's hands. You guys are going to enforce and pass these bylaws based on these updated OCPs. And is that not correct?
Yeah, so the specifics on a lot of the regulations that people have expressed an opinion on, whether it's home industry, home occupation, or keeping of animals, or number of RVs and all that sort of stuff, the specifics of that are in the zoning bylaw. And that's, you know, I appreciate you bringing that up again, because I wanted the opportunity again to highlight that if you want to engage on the draft zoning bylaw, I encourage you to do so. It's the October 2022 draft is published on the website. You know, it's in draft form still. We are, as staff, we're working towards bringing a draft that the board will consider a first time, hopefully later in May. But we want to hear from you. And if you have any comments, or if you're online right now and you want to look at the zoning bylaw review project website, all of the background information is there, and that draft zoning bylaw is there as well. So encourage anybody to engage on it. Give us a call, give us an email, come see us at the front counter, and we'll help answer your questions on that.
Okay, I got one more question, or a couple questions actually, but one on that regard, if you guys defeat this OCP amendment or whatever you guys are doing, does that affect your ability to push these bylaws through?
So when we went into the process to update the zoning bylaw, it was clear that the six existing OCPs had to be amended to align policy wording. So I can't give you a straight answer right now that if the Cherry Creek bylaw was defeated, how it would impact the zoning bylaw, but it would be something we'd have to look at. And you know, like I said, we went into this process to update all six of the OCPs as a baseline for building off of with the new zoning bylaw. So that would be something we have to look at if the board chooses to defeat this bylaw.
One more question before I go. Basically, I, like Mike Steeny, practice animal husbandry. I think it's essential to my kids' upbringing. A lot of people I know practice animal husbandry, whether it be sheep, goats, horses, donkeys, chickens, or whatever. So, to what I didn't get the full scope of what will be restricted, and if lot size has affects that, for how many chickens, if rabbits or whatever, if it's just noise making things like chickens or donkeys or whatever. Is it all animals, or is it just like the roosters and the chickens?
There are different regulations for poultry, for livestock, for bees, and for roosters as well. And it's all based on your lot size.
Your frontage, right?
No, your lot area.
Okay.
Your lot. So that is something that is really restricted in the current zoning bylaw. You need 2 acres to keep 1 chicken in the current 1973 zoning bylaw. Obviously, that's not something that's reflective of the community. So we've, the regional district has gone into that process to make it more permissive and allow for more types of animals. And then just recently, the board directed us to make some changes in Beaver Creek and Beaufort to become even more permissive on chickens as well.
So my concern with this whole thing is you've got these bylaws that are a little bit ridiculous right now, which is your excuse to update it, but they're not being enforced. So if you make them a little bit better, but start to enforce them, it will still negatively impact many, many people in this community. And I think it's a bad idea all around. Thanks.
Is it possible people come in and get a hard copy of their proposed bylaws, because people don't have computers? That's one of the things you're probably hearing tonight. They're hard time getting information back and forth because of technology.
Yes, absolutely. If anybody wants a hard copy of the draft zoning bylaw, we're happy to print one off for you. And if you want to have a look at the maps or need help looking at the maps and how it might apply to your property, you know, we want you to ask those questions and you know, we can point out where to find it in the zone bylaw. Happy to do that for you.
Just last one here, and thank you. You may have brought something to my attention. I'm sorry, Mike. Are you not allowed to show bias for or against?
I'm not allowed to show bias. I
didn't know that. I didn't know that. I really thought that because you got voted in knowing people, you didn't want to ruffle feathers of the people that maybe also voted you in. That was my intention. I was wondering, I'm like, why is this guy not jumping up and down right now for me? Because I'm going to throw my hat at something. Like, this is nuts. So I'm sorry. Yeah, we start with that. The second one, though, is can we all be honest with each other here for a minute? If 5 people have already voted the OCP in, are we all wasting our time? Like, the other 5 districts did it? Like, is there any chance that Cherry Creek even gets voted down if 5 of them have already agreed?
So I mean, I don't think we can speak to that now. We have to prepare the report and give the minutes to the board and let the board be the decision makers on that. Just to be clear on the voting too, is that each of them are individual bylaws, right? So it's not like votes have been passed on the Cherry Creek bylaw yet.
No, just on the OCP. Like if this whole thing is, if 5 people have already approved it, chances of the Cherry Creek getting left out is.
The 5 OCP amendment bylaws in the other region have been approved already. A lot of that had to do with timing. I mean, we had to have individual public hearings for each of those, and they've been staggered over the last 3 months. And the main reason for having the Cherry Creek public hearing now is because of the issues we had with the election and with no director in place for the beginning of this year. So, you know, I don't want us to prejudge how the board will be considering these bylaws. They enter into the meeting with an open mind.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to speak for them.
Okay, thanks. And then just the last one, and it is a little off topic, but I really, really, really applaud the physician that came up and spoke, because whether or not anybody here even understands that it may not be completely relevant to the OCP, it is probably the most important thing that's been brought up in this room tonight. And as you guys are working for our government, if you're not completely aware of what he is talking about, you should really, really look into it, because I've got a grade 8 from a foster home and own 3 businesses. I have every idea of what he's talking about, and I fully understand all the UN regulations and everything that he's brought up. And you guys are the ones that work for our municipal government. In my experience with the city, running for council, running for Cherry Creek, I personally believe that the public input period is nothing more than lip service. Now, that is my personal opinion. And this is because public input normally comes at the end of the decision and after decisions have already been made over the weekends. You pick up your information pack Wednesday, Thursday, read it, you come in to vote. It's important that I get my 3 minutes, but generally speaking, my personal experience is that this is just a dog and pony show so that we can come in here and rah, rah, rah. But at the end of the day, it gets rammed down our throats. So I'm going to leave it at that. And again, Mike, I really thought that you were just I'm like, does this guy have no emotion? What's going on here? But let's start off on a new foot and see if we can do this. But like, Mike, we need you, man. We really, really need you. Thank you.
And to the podiums.
Hi, I'm Susan Kenny, 3570 Walmer Road. I don't think that most of us here really care whether or not you change the name of a mobile home to a modular home, or, you know, those kind of willy-nilly issues. It's when you come in and try and tell you that you can't continue, you can't have your RVs or your quads or whatever on your property. It's where you're things like that that are forced down our throats. And once you approve this step, then you're going to move on to the next step, and then the next step. And eventually we're not allowed to do anything that we, want to do on our own property. We all live in a community that is extremely friendly, and we're all very, very close. And I mean, a guy like myself who live on just under half an acre, I'm not going to have 6 horses, 3 cows, and 500 chickens. So most of us live within a reasonable amount of, what we have on our property. So I'm a hard no.
Okay, thank you. I can make a suggestion then just put up. If the bylaws are coming down pipeline soon, if people want to get a copy of them and write down what they don't like, and then email me or bring in the ACRD or whatever you want to do for communication, say, I don't like this part of it. That would probably really be helpful. So, yes.
Chad Hubbard again. The OCP plan needs to be totally updated. I think you guys need to do a referendum and see what the community wants, because the bylaws are an overreach. They need to be updated with the community approval and that so that everybody's on board. And the OCP plan is for 5 different districts. It doesn't just fit the single district. And I didn't know about the Beaver Creek one. I would have been there too, because that affects me just as much. 8 people, that's an embarrassment. You know what I mean?
After.
Well, and that's even better, but I was unaware of it. And that just goes to show you that the lack of communication in the room, and through such a small town, there's only 18,000 people in Port Alberni, and we can't do it, but we can gather this many people in less than 10 days. So I think that the OCP plan in general needs to look at each individual section and what's best for them. And I don't think the OCP plan for Cherry Creek is appropriate, and the bylaws need to be updated.
Okay, thank you. I'll do my best on communication, try and get it out sooner for you guys to know, but this is a good turnout. It's like, so it's good. I hear people what they want, and I push forward what you're telling me. So.
If you can get this many people out over, it's how hard is it to have a referendum?
Okay, you got to speak and push the button.
How hard is it to have a referendum and have people register and do it online? Because you're going to get a turnout online. A lot of these people can't show up. They're on Zoom. They won't come out in person. But I bet if you made a registry online that says we're having a referendum and these are the topics and that we need each person to vote, going online, everybody goes in their bank accounts every day. They can see how much money they have. I'm sure they can take the time to vote. And it would give you guys a better direction on where to go with this community and where it needs to be.
Okay, we're taking notes right now. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say? Do you have anything, Alex? Nope.
I don't have anything to add.
Anything to add? Nothing, no emails came in, nothing on Zoom.
Not seeing anything on Zoom. We do have 9 attendees still. So if anybody wants to make a comment online, please either unmute yourself and let us know, or raise your hand. We'll have a look at you. Otherwise, we'll ask for more comments in the room here if anybody has anything to say.
Does anybody have any more comments in the room? All righty. Yeah. Sure.
Brett Von Brendel, 5447 Maybell. It's not a question, it's more a comment. Like, price of housing is insane these days. Most of us, spend our entire lives paying off our house. And I find it pretty absurd that 6 people decide what we can and what we can't do with our property. I feel like a lot of these bylaws and all this stuff are stemmed from people like Randy Brown and Dumont, who go over and above what is allowed. And you're basically punishing regular people trying to do regular things, reasonable things for people like that do absurd things, that do annoy their neighbors, that do all that stuff. And I just feel like you can't punish the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens for the bad apples in the community. And I feel like a lot of these bylaws stem from having to deal with people like that. And and as far as notifications go, when I posted that sign in my driveway and for my public hearing, my immediate neighbors, none of them, I talked to all of them, like the ones all around me, not one of them received a letter saying anything about it. My neighbor Jody was like, I had no idea about it until the day before. And I think that is appalling. I think it definitely affects the way meetings run, the way the outcome is, the turnout, like Beaver Creek. How many people in Beaver Creek would have showed up if they actually knew about it? They probably just didn't even know about it. And it really hurt my family and our progression on our property. And I feel like this stuff being pushed through without proper notification is really hurting the entire community as a whole. So thanks.
Thank you. We have, okay, thank you for that. We have one more person on Zoom. It is Charles DeHamel.
Yeah, Charles DeHamel, 4665 Butte Street. I just wanted to say that we would have shown up to Beaver Creek had we known. We just did not get notified.
There was nothing in the mail, and there weren't the classic sandwich board notification either. So I just want to echo that because it's been brought up a number of times, and I think it is true, and it does kind of give the impression that we're shut out of the process a bit, and it's not necessary.
Thanks.
We noted, we'll try to move on and see if we can get better communication somehow. We have another speaker on the floor.
Yeah, Jason Swatsky again. I don't know if it's really relevant, but after hearing about all the districts that are involved, I think there's a really strong disconnect between maybe the Chesterman Beach, Tofino, Hewlett, and Bamfield, and what maybe Cherry Creek and Beaver Creek have in common. And it probably has zero bearing, but maybe as our representative, we could maybe look at doing something to make those districts more their own and make choices that affect us because they affect us. Like I've worked in more houses in Chesterman Beach than probably 95% of them. I've been in multiple $1 million houses and met some very nice people up there. Not a single one of them has a bloody chicken, nor would they want it. It would be, they'd look down their nose. Bamfield, I would say, would maybe have a little bit more in common with us, being hardy people and having to survive by themselves and more self-sufficient as a community. But, to have Tofino's riding, nothing against those people, they're great people. But they don't have anything in common with us. Thank you. Hard no.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Just one more coming to the podium. Okay.
Oh, Mike again. I'm really not an alcoholic, but only one quick question. If I got it right, there's 1,977 people. You say, is that the houses?
No, it's actually 1901 now. It went down.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Fair enough, but what is it? 92 cents per stamp? And you send one to every homeowner. That would have done it.
We did do a mail out to Rural Route 2, which is your area.
Okay.
It gets part of you and a little bit of Beaufort because it's a rural area. Some people didn't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand why. I have to ask that question.
Yeah.
And the ones off Franklin River, which are Cherry Creek, they get mailed to. Yes. So it is. I don't know why people aren't getting it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, the water bill's not our purview. Nothing to do with us. So, is there any more? Okay, go ahead.
Just last one again.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last one. Is there any possibility, any legal English word that I have missed or may not know yet that can change this course of action and give, like the gentleman proposed? Do we all need to fly under one banner? Because I don't fly under the liberal government Canadian banner. This country's gone to crap.
So,
can we not have our own OCP for Cherry Creek, our own OCP for Beaver Creek, and have, this is an official community plan, is it not?
This is a Cherry Creek community plan. You're absolutely right. It is for Cherry Creek. You're absolutely right.
But can
it be modified for Cherry Creek? Absolutely right. Yes.
But then
that's what we're here to do.
But then the future zoning and everything, our bylaw guys, who we currently have 1.5 of, and soon we'll probably have 4 and a manager to enforce it. You guys going to have 4 different books depending on where he goes. I'm sorry, you are allowed to.
Quite honestly, if that's what Cherry Creek wants, yes.
Make it so, Captain.
That's the job. Okay, thank you. Any more? Yes.
I just wanted to say, Mike, thanks for coming on board and taking this battle on at this time. It's
Not a
you're
problem.
planned out.
Yeah.
And I think we can count on you. So thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. That's the job, so. Yeah. Now, the reason I keep saying it anymore, because I'm gonna read something now. As part of the process, so you know, right? Please be advised that members of the board of directors cannot receive any new information related to this bylaw between the end of this hearing and the final decision on the bylaw. If a board member does so, the hearing could be invalidated and would have to be held again. With that in mind, does anyone have any final comments? Go ahead, on the podium.
Thank you very much for listening. I just want more freedom, not less. If I lose and I'm pissed off at my neighbor over it, so be it.
Okay.
And I would like the young kids, if they grow a business here, it shouldn't be grandfathered. I just want more freedom.
Okay, thank you. Do we have one more for the podium?
Hi, my name's Gordon Wilson, 2881 Brandon Avenue. I've listened to everybody here very closely, and all I can say from my personal opinion, that it's all about being fair. And what's going on here is not fair to the people. I haven't lived here all my life. I've been here 5 years, but I had a property in Mission where I moved from, retired from, and I was a big part of the community, like going to all the public hearing and everything. And what happened back in 2012, or when all the and now you're trying to update it and everything. Well, that was kind of then, and now we've got now, right? So, to ask people that have been living here for 35, 40 years with their half-acre lots, 1 acre, 2 acre lots, especially the smaller lots, and asking them to get rid of all their things that they own, I think is ludicrous. It's all about being fair and understanding. There's going to be tension like you wouldn't believe, because I have 2 boats, one for the lake and one for ocean fishing. I don't intend to get rid of my boats unless I want to get rid of them. And, so I think really it's all about being fair, compromise. Any relationship is all built around that. So by dictating for people to do this, that, and the other, I don't think it's a good formula. There's got to be another way. Now, moving forward, from today, moving forward, then perhaps new rules or regulations could be adopted. But I think it's been a long run from, I've heard 1973, 2012. I mean, isn't it kind of run its course? It's like, that's a long time ago. Now, all of a sudden, we're trying to, reinvent the wheel from way long time ago. Doesn't make sense to me. But having said that, this gentleman said we have to have rules. Of course we have to have rules. Otherwise, a 1/4 acre lot will have 100 chickens. But, to completely flip everything over on these people that have had 1/4 acre, half-acre lots, and they have 3 or 4 cars or quads or whatever, and you have to get rid of them. Now, how does that work? How does that make sense? It's not being fair to the people that have built their whole life here. I'm early 60s. These people are probably late 70s, 75, 80 years old. And they have to get rid of some of their things. Well, even younger, but I can see the reaction from the older people, the way they're going to take all this. It's not going to be very much fun for them. So once again, it's not being fair to the people. It's got to be a different way to do this. Okay. So I'm a hard no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any final comments? All right. I call for the first time for any further representation on the bylaw. I call for the second time for any further representation on the bylaw. And I call for the third time for any representation on the bylaw. Hearing no further comments, I declare the meeting terminated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody online. If you have any questions, please contact